Hello, everyone. I'm the storyteller and here to help you today. I know you use this video to fall asleep. Before we start, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Also, tell me where you're watching from and what time it is. Now, get comfortable and relax. The rain is gentle tonight. Not a storm, not a downpour, just a slow, constant whisper, like someone murmuring secrets to the earth. You sit on the old porch swing, listening. The wooden slats creak beneath you, rhythmic and soft. Somewhere beyond the tall trees, a wind sighs low, stirring the tips of the evergreens, but never quite reaching you. The porch light above hums with a tired glow. It has a mind of its own, that bulb, flickering now and then, as though it too grows uneasy when the air stills. You notice the way the shadows bend oddly tonight. Not wildly, not unnaturally, just ... slightly wrong. Like the rain forgets to land in one small patch of ground just beyond the steps. Your mug of tea is warm in your hands. Steam curls gently upward, disappearing into the wet air. The scent of chamomile and wood smoke fills your lungs. Safe scents, familiar, yet beneath it, there's something else. A note of damp leaves and old metal. Faint, hard to name, but you know it. You've smelled it once before on the night your dog growled at nothing for a full hour. You glance toward the yard. Nothing moves, and yet it feels full, as though the trees are holding their breath. The porch light flickers. You don't move, but your skin prickles. A hush spreading across your shoulders like a wool blanket turned cold. That feeling again, the one that hums just beneath reason, that ancient instinct that tells the animal in you something watches. You try not to stare too long at the yard. You tell yourself there's nothing, there's just night and rain and the soft murmur of the wind through the trees. And yet, the light seems to fight harder now. Its glow dulling as though it must push against something thick and unseen. The puddles on the gravel path reflect the porch light, and yet one doesn't. One puddle is darker than it should. Be as if it's swallowing the light rather than reflecting it. You blink, look again. Now all puddles shimmer. Normal, ordinary. But the feeling doesn't leave. Your neighbor's house across. The road has a single upstairs window lit. A warm square. In a sea of grey. You wonder if they see what you do. Or feel it. That slow crawling sense of being noticed. Not stared at, but regarded. Like prey. Like something under glass. Your gaze drops to the wooden railing. A fine layer of rain beads across the surface except for one handprint. Damp, slightly smudged. As though someone pressed their palm there just moments ago. You didn't see anyone. You didn't hear anything. But it's there. 5 fingers. Long, thin. Not yours. You place your hand beside it. The print is longer than your own by half. An inch. You feel something shift inside your chest. Not panic, exactly, but a tightening. And not where your breath used to be. Still, you remain on the swing. Something in you knows that to rise too quickly is to acknowledge it. To break the spell of calm. And so, you stay. Breathing slowly. Feeling each inhale fill your lungs. Tasting the damp wood on the back of your tongue. The porch light flickers again. More insistently this time than it steadies. The swing creaks, but you're not moving. You don't recall standing up. One moment you're on the swing, and the next. You're at the edge of the porch, hand resting gently on the railing where the wet handprint was moments ago. It's gone now, or rather, it's faded, soaked into the grain of the wood like a memory sinking into the folds of time. The rain thickens just slightly, its rhythm still soft, but now a little more insistent, like fingers drumming against a hollow box. You let your fingers curl around the railing, grounding yourself. The swing behind you rocks gently, though you've left it still. In the grass beyond the porch steps, something shifts. Not much, just enough. You catch it at the corner of your ajar movement, too low for a person, too fluid for an animal. The kind of movement that has no origin, no beginning, just there. Your porch light casts a pale cone into the yard, but the glow doesn't travel as far as it should. The outer edge of the light looks eaten away, as if swallowed by fog that doesn't quite exist. And in that thinned place, you sense it again, not see, not hear, sense. A presence. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't charge or growl or scream. It waits, patient, calm, as if it's been here long before you, and will remain long after. You find yourself breathing slower, not from peace, but from instinct, as if your breath, too loud, might draw it closer. The trees beyond your fence sway, but the bushes below remain perfectly still. A soft sound, like wet feet brushing against stone, echoes from beneath the porch. You don't flinch. The sound doesn't come again, but your ears now search the silence for it, craving something concrete to justify the tension curling in your spine. You take a step down. Your foot sinks into the damp earth with a softened crunch. The gravel feels wrong beneath your shoes, softer than it should, like it's been dug up and laid back without care. You look down and see nothing unusual, but the scent, earthy, thick, and mineral, has changed. It smells freshly turned, like something was unearthed or buried. The porch light buzzes behind you. You turn instinctively, and for the briefest second, as the bulb flickers once more, you see it, a shape, not defined, not fully formed, just darkness within darkness, standing at the far edge of the yard, where the glow fades into grey. It doesn't move. It doesn't sway with the breeze. It simply exists, wrong in the way a misplaced note in a lullaby might jolt the ears. Wrong in the way a photograph sometimes captures something no one remembers being there. The light steadies, the figure is gone, but you still feel it, and worse, you feel the space where it was. Like the yard now remembers being occupied. You swallow. The air is thick now, not humid, not warm, just dense, like it's been filled with silence so ancient it's grown heavy. You back toward the porch, slow, calm, deliberate, not out of fear, out of respect, because whatever it was, whatever it is, hasn't hurt you. It's simply watched. Waited. You reach the porch again. The swing has stopped rocking. The handprint is fully gone now, soaked into the wood and memory alike. You sit again, tea cooled, rain steady. The porch light hums overhead, a lonely sentinel, and from the shadows beyond the path, something shifts once more closer this time. You close your eyes for a moment, not to sleep, but to listen better. It's strange how the ears wake when the eyes rest. You hear the pattern of the rain first, then the quiet creak of the gutters. Then, beneath it all, something else, a faint scraping, not sharp, not frantic, just steady, like fingers combing through gravel. Slow, intentional. You open your eyes. Nothing has changed. Not outwardly, but the air feels nearer, as if the night has crept a few inches closer, leaning in to speak softly, secrets brushing your skin like breath. You stand again. This time it feels right, calm. Your steps are measured. The wood beneath your feet feels warm and alive, despite the rain. The porch boards know you. They sigh softly under your weight, like they've held generations of watchers before you. You step down once more. This time, your feet carry you not to the edge of the porch, but toward the side of the house, where the glow doesn't reach, where things are less known. The grass is slick beneath your shoes. Cold, it clings a little. Each blade feels like a string trying to keep you tethered. But you move anyway. There's an old trellis near the corner, half-eaten by moss and time. Your hand brushes against it. The wood is soft, fragile, like it would turn to powder if you pressed too hard. And then you notice something etched into it. Marks, long, shallow lines, not scratches exactly, more like writing, symbols that don't belong to any alphabet you know. You lean closer. There's a pattern to them, repeating, worn down by rain, but still whispering through the grooves. One symbol a loop with a break at the top seems fresher, less weathered. You touch it, and the night seems to pause. A drop of rain lands on your knuckle. Cold, then another, and another. But something shifts with them. The scraping sound stops, and a new one begins. Not outside, inside. Inside, you turn toward the back door. It's closed, of course, but you feel it's something behind it. Not moving, just waiting. A breath held. On the other side, you don't open it. You don't run. You simply watch. You don't feel unwelcome. That's what strikes you most. You feel ... invited. Not in a cruel way, not a trap, more like a memory asking to be remembered. A presence requesting acknowledgement. You speak into the night, just above a whisper. I see you. The wind rises slightly. The porch light flickers behind you. The scraping inside fades again, replaced by something else. A voice, no, more like a thought, one that doesn't belong to you, but arrives anyway. You always have. You shiver, but not from cold, and the rain falls gently on your face. You return to the porch. In silence, the swing welcomes you again without a sound. The old wood no longer creaks. It simply rocks, slow, gentle, as if something in the house has shifted. And now the outside wishes to soothe you. The yard no longer feels full, but not empty either. Like something has stepped back, just far enough to not be seen, but not so far as to leave. A respectful distance. Your hands settle around the cooled mug, still half full of forgotten tea. You sip it, not for warmth, but for grounding. The taste is familiar. And suddenly you realize the strangeness has never been in the tea or the night, it's in the space between. The spaces people ignore. The flickers at the edge of light. The slow parts of a storm that don't quite arrive. You think about the markings on the trellis. You think about the voice that wasn't a voice. You think about the shape behind the porch. Lights glow, and you realize something gentle yet strange. This is not the first night. This presence, this watching has happened before. Maybe not exactly like this, but in dreams you forgot upon waking. In moments when your skin prickled, without a breeze. In nights when the porch light flickered, and you blamed the wiring. A memory stirs, faint, from long ago. You were a child, and you stood at the back door during a thunderstorm, watching the yard blur into a silver sea. And just beyond the fence, you saw something tall and still, watching, not threatening, not hiding, simply present. Your parents said it was a tree, but you never saw that shape again. And the ground near that spot always seemed a little softer. The swing rocks, and then you hear it again, the gentle scrape of gravel. But this time, it's followed by something else. A soft humming, low, melodic, like a lullaby sung in a language long forgotten. It doesn't frighten you. It settles over you like a worn blanket, woven from shadow and time. You don't try to find the source, because you already know. It's not meant to be followed. It's meant to be heard, to be remembered. You close your eyes again. The rain falls steady. The hum continues, and behind the porch light, the shape lingers, not as a threat, but as a reminder that not all things in the dark are here to harm. Some are here to witness, to wait, to return. Then as your breath softens, and as your breath softens, and your thoughts grow quiet, you feel the presence lean back into the tree's content for now, but never. Far the window that whispers back. The storm arrives after midnight, with no warning, no thunder to announce it, no flash of lightning to paint the sky. Just rain, soft and steady, like 1,000 fingertips tapping gently across the roof. You lie in bed, eyes open, ears tuned not to the rhythm of the rain, but to something quieter beneath it. There's a difference in the sound tonight. The water falls not just with weight, but with intention. It feels as though the storm knows where to land. Your room is dim, lit only by the soft blue glow of a street lamp seeping through the curtains. The air carries the scent of wet pavement and cold stone, familiar, grounding. But then the window sighs. A long, low breath of condensation blurs the bottom of the pane. You didn't touch it. No one did. Yet the glass fogs in the shape of something, breathing close to it from the outside. You rise, slowly. Your bare feet sink into the carpet with a soft hush. You cross the room without a sound. Pull back the curtain just a finger's width and see nothing. Only the reflection of your own eyes, tired and wide, still. The breath remains, and then a trail appears. One single line drawn down the fogged pane, as if traced by a fingertip. It begins at the top of the condensation and glides slowly to the bottom, deliberate. Steady, you hold your breath. Watch, wait, but nothing else moves. The rain continues. The window clears. You let the curtain fall back. But the feeling lingers, that you are no longer the only one awake in the house. The morning is grey and muted, the sky still heavy with leftover storm. You walk the hallway with coffee in hand, its warmth seeping into your palms. The windows along the stairwell drip with moisture, beads of water clinging like tiny eyes, watching from behind glass. But it's the living room window that holds your gaze, the one facing the back garden. Last night's fog has vanished, but faint. Traces of lines remain, smudges on the glass, arcing not randomly, but in curves like script in a forgotten language. You wipe the glass with your sleeve. The marks don't lift. They're inside the pane. You say nothing, not to yourself, not to the quiet. Instead, you move about the room, straighten the cushions, adjust the frame hanging slightly crooked above the fireplace. You try to summon the normal weight of the day, but something is different. The floor feels softer in the far corner. You press your foot down. It gives ever so slightly, like something beneath it has shifted. You crouch, press your palm to the wood. It's cool, damp. No, just colder than the rest. You tap lightly, hollow, but it's always been hollow there. A crawl space below. Nothing new, and yet your eyes drift back to the window. It no longer shows just your reflection. There's something in the corner of the glass, an impression, subtle, like someone once stood there for a long time, long enough for the cold to remember them. You approach, lean, close. This time, The fog rises not from the outside, but from within. A breath across the inside pane, and with it, the sound begins. Not speech, not music. A whisper so faint it may not be real. It loops, repeats so soft it could be air, yet it's patterned here. Here you close your eyes. Listen, still here. When you open them, the impression on the glass is gone. But on the floor where the boards felt softer, a drop of water now sits, alone. UNMOVING. You are no longer pretending the house is empty. That evening, the wind doesn't blow. The trees remain still, silhouettes against a colorless sky. The world feels paused like the breath before a word is spoken. Inside, the house settles, and then unsettles. You walk the hallway again. Each step feels echoed by one just behind you. Not close, not threatening, but familiar. Like a friend who doesn't wish to be seen. You reach the hallway window, the narrow one by the stairs. You've walked past it 1,000 times. But tonight, it waits for you. It's glass fogged. A single word traced into it. Listen, you don't touch it. You don't wipe it away. You stand there and listen. The hum of electricity, the tick of the old clock in the kitchen, the creak of the beams overhead. And beneath it, all a whisper. It doesn't form words this time, just rhythm, like someone breathing not with lungs, but with longing. Slow, deep, almost mournful. You walk back to the living room. The garden window remains clean, clear, but your eyes search the dark outside. And then you see it, a figure standing by the willow tree. It doesn't move, doesn't hide, just stands. Watching, you blink, it's gone. You sit down slowly on the old armchair near the window. The cushion feels colder than usual, and then so softly it could be a dream. You hear it again, the whisper, but this time it answers you. Why did you stop remembering me? Your breath catches. The voice is neither male nor female. It is the sound of someone you once knew, perhaps from childhood, or from a dream you forgot too quickly. You speak aloud, barely a whisper yourself. Who are you? Silence. The lamp flickers. The fireplace exhales a burst of air, and then the whisper returns. I stood by your window. For years, your hands tremble slightly, but not from fear, from recognition. Somewhere inside you, something stirs. A memory not of an event, but of a feeling. Of being watched as a child, not with malice, but with sorrow. The window fogs again. Another word appears, still. You stand, unable to look away. Another whisper, will you remember now? You wake before dawn, not because of a sound, but because of silence. The kind of silence that presses against your eardrums like a held breath. You rise and walk barefoot through the house. The floor is colder, the light dimmer, despite the lamps being on. You return to the garden window. This time, there's no fog, but the outside world looks altered, not changed, just older. The willow tree bends differently. The stones in the garden path look worn, weathered as though aged overnight. The fence leans at a new angle, its paint more chipped. You press your hand against the glass. It's warmer than it should be. You close your eyes, and the whisper returns, clearer, not from outside. From behind you, you turn. No one there, but the voice remains. Go to the attic. You haven't been up there in years. Still, you obey. The stairs groan beneath your steps. The door creaks open with reluctant ease. The attic is dark, dust-heavy, full of forgotten boxes. But one box sits in the center, open, inside a child's raincoat, yellow, damp, faint footprints, leading away from it. Bare, small, you kneel beside it, and the whisper returns. You knew me. A memory breaks loose. A friend. Imaginary or so, you thought. Someone who whispered to you during storms, who traced shapes on the window, who disappeared. When you turned 10 and stopped believing, you touch the coat. The air shifts. The window at the far end of the attic fogs. And this time, the words are unmistakable. I waited. You sit by the attic window now, the house below hushed outside. The first light of morning fights through the rain, but the world still feels borrowed like a dream stitched from memory and mist. You trace your own finger across the fogged glass. One word, sorry. A response appears beneath its low, careful, as if the writer has all the time in the world. Still here, you feel no fear, only sorrow and gratitude that something someone you once forgot had waited through silence, shadow, and storm, just to be remembered again. The house sighs around you. The rain lessens, and you descend the stairs quietly, each step echoing not just in the present, but in all the nights before when someone waited behind the glass. You reach your room. The bed is still warm. You lie down, pull the blanket up, and let the storm whisper you back to sleep. Footsteps in the attic rain tonight. The rain returns heavier than before, drumming gently across the roof like fingertips tracing an old lullaby. You lie awake, eyes open in the dim glow of your bedside lamp, the rhythm comforting in its predictability. It's the kind of rain that turns the world into a slow dream, one where shadows stretch longer, where memories feel close, and time forgets its pace. You pull the blanket up beneath your chin, letting the sound wrap around you like a familiar voice. The steady tapping above is soft, harmless, each drop finding its place in the silence. But then the pattern changes. It begins so subtly you almost miss it. A single thud against the rhythm, not a drip, not a creak. Something heavier, another thud, then a pause, then two in a row. Not rain. Footsteps from the attic. You don't move. You don't blink. The steps are too soft to be boots, too intentional to be the settling of wood, slow, deliberate, like someone barefoot, pacing just above your ceiling. The attic has no flooring, just beams and insulation. No one should be able to walk up there. Not like this, but they do. The footsteps cross once, fade, and return again, this time stopping directly above your bed. And then silence. You stare at the ceiling. The rain continues, but the footsteps do not. The quiet hums, and something inside you shifts not toward fear, but toward listening, as though the house wants you to hear this, as though it remembers something, and wants you to remember it. 2. Morning arrives as a grey smear across the sky. The rain hasn't stopped, only softened, like it too has grown contemplative. You make tea in the kitchen. The kettle hums. The floors creak beneath your steps, familiar, expected sounds. But the memory of last night still lingers. Those measured, wet footsteps above your head. You walk into the hallway, craning your neck toward the ceiling. The attic entrance is just above the linen closet, an old wooden panel with a pull string. You haven't opened it in years, not since the last time the storms came and the whispers began. You stare at the panel, feeling the air beneath it, colder still. Later, as the day fades and evening settles back in, you notice things feel heavier, not physically, spiritually, as if the rooms carry more than air. as if each wall holds its breath. In the living room, the window is clean again. No fog, no messages, but your eyes find something else. Mud, just the faintest smudge of it, near the baseboard, behind the sofa. Too high for a pet. Too far from the door. A footprint narrow, bare-dotted, faces the stairs. You follow its silent suggestion upward. The second floor is quiet, the rain now steady again on the roof. The attic panel waits above you like a lid that shouldn't be opened but wants to be. You hesitate, then you pull the string. The panel drops with a soft sigh, like something relieved. Dust tumbles down like ash. The wooden ladder extends smoothly, as though recently oiled. You climb slowly. The attic air is thick, full of dust and memory. Your flashlight cuts through the dark in a narrow beam. You sweep it across the beams, the old boxes, the insulation curled like sleeping skin across the rafters. And then you stop. There across the beams dash mud, a single trail of footprints, bare damp, leading from the entrance to the far corner. You follow them and find an old coat, yellow, familiar. But beside it, now another object, a book bound in faded cloth, its cover unreadable. You open it gently. Inside pages filled with handwriting, not yours, not your family's. Drawings of the house, floor plans, notes in the margins, still walks, roof remembers. Don't answer the third knock. You turn another page, a list of dates. Last night's date is written there, circled, underlined, and below it, return expected. You don't sleep that night, not because of fear but because something in the house is waking, and you feel the need to stay with it, to witness it. The rain deepens, a slow thunder humming under its rhythm. From your bed, you stare at the ceiling, and again the footsteps return, but this time you count them. 1, 2, 3, pause, then 4, 5. They move toward the same place, again above your bed. Then back, then to the attic window. Then silence. You rise before the sun, walking the house in the dim light of morning. In the attic, the footprints remain, but they've darkened. Still damped up, the book you left closed is now open, new words written freshly. Why did you leave me behind? You whisper into the beams. I didn't know. The attic answers with a groan, soft as sleep, and then, beside the book, a single strand of hair, dark, long. You take the book with you downstairs. For days, the pattern continues. Always rain, always footsteps at night, always a new note in the book. I watched you grow. I sat at the windows. I hummed when you cried. I never left. And one night, as the storm swells into a full downpour, you hear it again, not just footsteps, but music, a low humming, a tune you remember from your childhood, not a lullaby, not something from a parent, something older, from the walls, from the attic, from whatever it is that waits above. You walk through the house holding the book, whispering the melody back to the air. The humming stops, then footsteps descends low, invisible but unmistakable. They reach the base of the attic ladder, and then stop. You do not look up. You whisper, you're not alone anymore. And the air grows warm. 4, 8 moment, then cold again, because something else is coming, something heavier. You dig through the attic the next day. The rain hasn't stopped for 4 days. Now you find old photo albums, black and white images of people in front of this very house. Faces you don't know. Smiles that look forced, In one photo, dated 1902, a woman stands near the attic window, barefoot, wet hair. A child beside her, blurred as if they moved during the exposure. You flip it over, no names, just a line. We kept the steps quiet for her. You find another note in the book, that night, shorter, double quotes, third night soon. It haunts you all day. What happens on the third night? Why 3? You call a contractor. Ask about the attic structure. He says it's not meant to hold weight. No boards, no flooring. You shouldn't be able to walk up there. You don't answer. That night, you prepare. You sit on your bed. You light no candles. You open no windows, and you wait. The rain returns. Exactly at midnight, the roof sings its slow lullaby. And then, footsteps, 1, 2, 3, you whisper, welcome. But then they grow louder, heavier, the beams creak. A groan rolls through the house like a warning. Then a knock, soft but real, from the attic. Hatch. Not once, not twice, 3 times, and then silence. You do not open the hatch. You sit beneath it, hand resting on the folded ladder. The knocking doesn't return, but the air shifts. The attic begins to hum again. That same lullaby, but it's slower now, deeper. Almost like a dirge. You whisper to the house, what do you want? And the answer is not words, it is memory. You close your eyes, you see a child, not you hiding in the attic, alone, forgotten. Singing to the rain, you see them grow, watching from the beams, from the vents, from the corners of rooms. You see them wait and wait, until someone listened, until now. You rise and speak aloud. I remember. And the humming fades, the rain slows, and for the first time in a week, silence returns to the house, but not emptiness. A presence remains, not above, not behind, but beside. And when you return to bed, the house no longer feels cold. The footsteps don't come that night, but the roof still hums. Like a thank dash, you like a promise, the lantern in the mister. Fog comes before dawn. It moves like silk across the land, not rolling, not sweeping. Delicate and deliberate, as though placed by hand. You wake to the sound of the world being muted, the kind of hush that feels too complete to be natural. Even the birds are silent. Through your bedroom window, the field behind the house is gone by grey mist. Trees become vague shadows. Fences disappear. The garden vanishes entirely. And then, in the center of that shapeless canvas, a single light appears, dim, golden, swinging slightly. A lantern, old-fashioned, with an amber glow that sways as though carried, though no hand is visible. It floats just above the tall grass oar, where the grass should be cast in. Ripples of faint light through the fog. You sit up slowly, not afraid, just curious. The lantern pulses gently, almost in rhythm with your breath. You can't see what holds it, or if anything does at all. But it's there, steady, familiar, somehow. The mist presses softly against the window pane, beading with moisture. You reach out. Your fingertips leave trails in the condensation, like tiny paths through shadow. Rain begins, again fine, quiet. Drops tapping against the roof like a watchful whisper. And though you tell yourself you'll stay inside, a part of you already knows you won't. By mid-morning, the fog has not lifted. If anything, it thickens. The trees around the property now look like faded brushstrokes. Even the porch, visible from your kitchen, seems to melt into the mist. You sip your tea by the window, watching the lantern. It hasn't moved. Or rather, it has moved, but not away. Every time you glance away and look back, it's in a slightly different spot, always facing the same direction, always swaying gently, always just out of reach, and always watching. You decide to step outside. Just for a moment. The air bites, cold and damp. Fog curls around your legs like a living thing. You walk to the edge of the porch and look out. The lantern glows closer now, only a few paces from the fence. There's no path, but your feet find one anyway. As you cross the wet earth, the mist parts just enough to guide you. Behind you, the house fades into the grey. The world becomes soft, uncertain. Only the lantern remains clear, and then you hear something. Footsteps, not yours. They're faint, like someone walking in rhythm with you, but just out of sight. Every time you stop, they stop. Every time you move, they resume. Their pace mirrors yours, but they're never visible. The lantern drifts further. You follow, not because you mean to, but because your legs forget how not to. The air smells different here, earthy, sweet, with something old like wildflowers crushed underfoot decades ago, still breathing through the soil. You pass a dead tree. It leans unnaturally, as if once struck by lightning. At its base lies a bundle of cloth, torn, pale yellow. You don't touch it, but you kneel near it, heart thudding softly, breath shallow. That lantern hovers just ahead. You rise and continue. It leads you toward a low wall of stones, moss-covered and forgotten, a circle of them to round, to neat. Something once stood. Here, a structure, a home, maybe. In the center of the circle, the lantern stops and sinks, straight down as if lowering into a well. You rush forward, but there's no hole. No gap, just earth, wet and firm beneath your boots. The lantern is gone. The mist thickens again, and now you feel it. Something behind you, breathing. You turn slowly. There is nothing to see, but the fog behind you has shape now. It gathers in, folds, as though draped over something tall and still. Not moving, not menacing, just ... Observing. The breath you heard is gone, but its memory lingers in your ears. You take a step back toward the stone circle. The fog recedes a little. Respecting the boundary, you look again at the place where the lantern vanished. A soft glow pulses beneath. The soil, faint, rhythmic, dot-like. A heartbeat. You crouch. Press your palm to the ground. Warm, the rain drips gently onto your shoulders. Each drop feels like a nudge. You whisper, "What do you want?" No voice answers, but something shifts in the fog. It draws back, just enough to reveal another path. Narrow, overgrown, one you've never seen. Even though you've lived here for years, you follow. The trees close in. Their trunks lean inward, forming a kind of hallway. The lantern appears, again flickering ahead like a guiding star. But this time, it doesn't drift. It runs fast. You chase it, breath-catching, boots sinking into moss. Branches whip past you. The world bends around the path, and then stops. You stumble into a clearing, and there it is, an old house, crumbling, roof half collapsed. Windows empty, yet inside. The lantern waits on the floor of what must have once been a kitchen. You step across the threshold. Instantly, the sound changes. The rain disappears. The fog thins. You hear only the faint crackle of fire. But there is no fire, just the lantern. You walk to it, kneel beside it, and in the soot beside it, footprints, small, bare, leading to the far corner of the house, where a child-sized cot sits, and on it, something wrapped in cloth, a doll, handmade, threadbare, its eyes buttons of mismatched sizes. You pick it up, the room exhales, and from the rafters, a whisper, finally. You sit on the floor, the doll in your lap, the lantern flickers, the whisper grows louder. Why did you leave? You reply quietly, I didn't know. The air trembles. Now you do. You turn toward the cot again. Beneath it's something wrapped in oilcloth. You pull it out, unwrapping layer by layer. Inside, a journal. The name on the first page matches no one you know. Elsinore, Vale. You read, each entry is a letter to you, written decades ago. I watch from the mist, hoping you'll see. The lantern. I leave it where your dreams begin. I am not angry, I am only waiting. The handwriting is neat, precise, measured. You read for what feels like hours. Rain taps gently against the roof, but the sound is distant, as though you are no longer in this time. You learn of a girl who lived nearby, who vanished, who whispered through glass, who sang from the attic, who left her doll behind, and who has followed you, softly, through every storm, because you were the last person she saw before she disappeared. You were 5. You don't remember, but she does. You walk home at dusk. The fog has begun to lift. The lantern is gone, but you carry the doll, the journal, and a new weight of knowing at your front door. You pause. Your reflection stares back in the window, and behind it, another face, faint but smiling. You enter the house. It feels warmer now, quieter, like someone has stopped pacing. You place the doll on the attic stair. You leave the journal beside it, and you speak softly to the ceiling. I remember now. The rain returns, gentle, grateful, and in the garden, the mist forms one final shape, a small figure waving once, then gone. You sleep soundly that night. No footsteps, no whispers, just rain and rest. The house that appears only in rain, the sun rises dry and golden, casting soft shadows across your lawn. The sky is clear, the air mild, and everything looks ordinary. No fog, no whispers, no footprints. Even the field where the lantern once floated is empty, a genge. Damp grass and brittle fences. You almost believe it was a dream, the past. Few nights soaked in mystery and rain feel far away in this sunlight. The house is still, the attic quiet. The doll on the stairs has vanished, but you convince yourself it simply fell. The journal remains, closed and undisturbed. You step outside, drawn by a faint sense of longing. Something in your chest feels unfinished. You walk to the edge of your property where the old path begins an overgrown trail that winds toward the woods. You've walked it before. There's never been anything down it, just trees, a bend in the trail, and silence. But not when it rains. You remember now, this trail changes with the weather. It remembers water. It remembers you. You close your eyes and whisper, "Show me." But the sky only answers with a gentle breeze. You return home, wait, and as dusk begins to fall, the clouds arrive slow, soft-bellied things that roll across the horizon like forgotten ships. By nightfall, the first raindrops tap at your window, as if knocking to be let in. The rhythm returns, and so does the house. It begins like before. The rain comes steady, draping the world in grey. You look out the window, heart already anticipating. First, there's nothing. Then, in the distance where The path curves near the woods. Something appears. A dark outline. Still, too solid to be tree or shadow. You take a breath and walk out into the storm. The rain greets you like an old friend. Not harsh, not cold, just persistent. Each drop taps gently against your coat, your hands, your cheeks. The path feels different under your feet. More real, firmer. The woods seem to bend aside, as if making room for your passage. And then you see it. The house, not a ruin. Not an echo, whole, tall windows, flickering softly, wood dark and glistening with rain. It stands exactly where the trail once ended. But now it stretches further past where reality should stop. The house leans slightly to one side, as though tired from waiting. Its windows glow with a soft yellow light that pulses like memory. You step closer. The porch groans softly beneath your weight. The door is open, just enough, welcoming you. Glance back once. Your house is gone, swallowed by fog and forest. Only this place remains. You enter. The warmth inside startles you. It smells of cedar, old fabric, and rain-soaked stone. The entry hall is dim, lit by sconces that shouldn't work but do. Their flickering flames dance against walls painted in peeling floral wallpaper. You step forward. The wood creaks, but not in protest. It feels like the house sighs when you move, like it knows you're here. A hallway stretches. Ahead, doors line either side, each one cracked open, just enough to tempt. You choose none, not yet. Instead, you follow the sound. A low hum like wind through hollow glass guides you to the main sitting room. A fire burns in the hearth. Though there is no wood, you see a rocking chair moving gently by itself, creaking in rhythm with the rain outside. On the mantel, photos. You step closer. The faces stare back at you, old portraits, faded with time. But one face is unmistakable. Yours as a child, standing next to a woman you don't remember. She holds your hand. She wears a brooch shaped like a teardrop. You look down. You're wearing the same one now. You don't know where it came from. The rocking chair stops. You turn. No one, but the door at the end of the hall slowly creaks open. You walk toward it. Inside is a dining room, set for dinner. 3 chairs, 2 are empty. One holds a coat draped carefully over the back. The same coat from the attic. Rain drips softly through the ceiling. But the tablecloth is dry. You sit. A note is folded beside the plate. You open it. 3 words. Stay until asked. And so, you wait. The chandelier above you sways gently. Time passes strangely here. You feel full without eating. You feel watched, but not in fear. You feel remembered. The fire crackles again in the other room. Footsteps echo above, the house shifts, and the 3rd chair is no longer empty. You don't speak, neither does she. The woman across from you watches you with eyes that flicker like candlelight. Her face is soft, lined with years, but her gaze holds no age, only memory. She raises a hand, points to the far wall. You follow her gesture. There, a painting you hadn't noticed before. Your house, but old, shuttered, covered in vines. A gravestone stands in the garden. You walk toward it, heart heavy. Beneath the painting, a plaque. We return to what remembers us. You turn back. The woman is gone. Only her coat remains. You leave the room, climb the stairs. The house whispers your name as you go. Every door you pass shows a version of your life. You as a child, whispering to shadows. You as a teen, drawing faces you'd forgotten you knew. You as an adult, looking out the window, waiting for something you couldn't name, and in one rumor, child asleep. Not you, someone else. Someone you once promised not to forget. You touch the doorknob, the child stirs, whispers, "It's raining again," and disappears. You descend the stairs slowly. The rain grows louder, not violent, just closer, like it has entered the walls, the floors, the seams of this house that only exists when it falls. The front door is closed now, but you don't try to leave. Instead, you return to the entry hall where another photograph now sits. It shows you tonight standing in this very room, smiling. You are not afraid. You are not alone. The door creaks open by itself. Rain greets you again. You step outside. The house behind you groans and then begins to vanish. Not all at once, but like breath fading on glass. You don't look back. You follow the path, now lined with lanterns each, one lit with the same pulsing glow. They do not guide you away. They guide you home. When you reach your porch, the rain stops, the sky clears, and where the mysterious house once stood, the land lies empty again. But your shoes are soaked, and your coat smells of cedar, and in your pocket, a brooch shaped like a teardrop pulses gently, warm. The clock that counts backward the night is silent, but not in the way you're used to. It's the silence of a breath, drawn in, not yet let go. The wind doesn't move. The trees don't speak. Even the rain, when it finally begins, falls in a strange rhythm, hesitant, like it's unsure whether it should be here. You sit in your hallway chair, wrapped in a blanket, your eyes drawn to the old grandfather clock that has stood in your home since before you were born. No one remembers who brought it in. It simply always was. You've passed it 1,000 times without thought. But tonight, it ticks differently. Slower, heavy. Each swing of its pendulum feels deeper, as if it's moving through something thicker than air. You glance at the face. The hands are turning backward. You blink. Lean forward. Yes. Slowly, stubbornly, they retreat. 11:09, 11:08, 11:07. You rise, approach. The ticking grows louder with each step. It no longer echoes in the hall, it fills it, pressing against the walls, the floor. Your chest dot. You touch the wooden case. It's cold. Damp rain drips gently outside the window, but it sounds wrong, as though it's being sucked upward from the ground rather than falling from the sky. The house breathes, once timbers groaning low, floorboards flexing beneath stillness and then stills again. The clock keeps ticking backward, and behind its glass face. Just for a moment, you see your reflection blink, but your body does not. Morning comes, if it can be called that. The sky remains iron grey, the clouds low and heavy. The rain continues, barely touching the ground, almost suspended. Time moves slowly. You feel it. The clock still runs in reverse, no matter how many times you reset it. Wind it, stop. It resumes, quietly. REBELLIOUSLY. And with each tick backward, something shifts in the air. Photographs on the hallway wall begin to change. Not dramatically, just ... softening. In one frame, your grandmother's portrait now looks younger, her eyes brighter. In another, the edges of your childhood photo have curled inward, as if returning to the moment it was taken. The calendar on your fridge shows yesterday's date even, though you're sure you flipped the page. You check your phone, it blinks, freezes, then resets itself to midnight. You put it down. The clock ticks on. Le sonce ise. 11:05. Later, as you walk past it again, you notice the pendulum has grown longer. It almost touches the floor now. You open the case. Inside, the weights look different. Instead of brass, they are dark, iron, worn smooth as though handled by many. One bears a scratch note, a carving. You crouch to see it better. A single word. Return. You step back. The lights dim, and somewhere deeper in the house, a door creaks open that you don't remember having. You follow the sound. It leads to the cellar. The cellar door has always been there, tucked behind the pantry, never locked, never curious. But tonight, it yawns open, stairs descending into blackness. You stand at the top, listening. The clock ticks above. The rain hums against the window. And from below silence you descend. The stairs creak underfoot. The walls close in. The air smells of stone and dust. At the bottom, your flashlight flickers. You swing it across the room. Everything is coated in a fine layer of time. Old trunks, shelves of forgotten tools, canning jars filled with yellowed things that no longer have names. Then the beam lands on it. Second clock. Shorter, older, built into the stone wall. Its face is blank, but its pendulum swings in sync with the one upstairs. Backward, a soft hum begins, like a whisper pressed to glass. You step closer. The hum rises dot. You reach out, touch the glass. It's warm, suddenly. You're not in the cellar. You're in the hallway, again but different. The wallpaper is faded. The light bulb's older. The smell of wood polish hangs in the air. Voices echo faintly. From the kitchen, you walk toward them, drawn like a thread being pulled. And there you see her, your mother, young, laughing. You try to call out, but your voice doesn't come. You're not here, not really, only watching the clock ticks behind you, backward, faster. Now, the scene fades. You're in your childhood room. You see yourself 7 years old sitting on the floor, drawing in crayon. You look up, through yourself, toward the door. There's someone watching you, a figure just out of sight, but you feel its gaze. Even now, the pendulum slows. The cellar returns. You fall to your knees. The iron weight on the wall clock glows faintly. Another word carved beside the first. Stay back upstairs. You try to write things down. Dates, times, places where the visions begin and end. But each note you take fades. After an hour, ink bleeds. Paper crumbles. Time refuses to be captured. The hallway clock now reads 10:52. You don't remember it skipping. 11 minutes. You decide to test it. You sit by it, watching, pen in hand. For every backward minute, you write something, a name, a memory. But after 20 minutes, your notes have vanished, replaced by blank paper or strange script. You look at the photos again. In one frame, your childhood image has gone missing. The background remains, but your figure has blurred, as if erased by water. You walk the house trying to ground yourself, but nothing obeys. Mirrors reflect rooms they shouldn't. Doorways show earlier versions of themselves, and in every glass surface, the clock behind you keeps ticking backward, even when you're not in the room. You try to sleep that night, but the ticking follows you like a second heartbeat. You dream of a clock tower in a forest, its hands spinning wildly at the base of the tower. A door waits, and carved into the stone above it, someone must remember. You wake at 10:34. Not AM, just 10:34. The sun is missing. The world feels paused. You stand before the grandfather clock one final time. It reads 10:30, then 10:29, then stops. The pendulum halts in the air, frozen at its farthest point, as if refusing to return. The silence is absolute. You reach for it. The moment you touch the case, you're in the forest. The one from your dream. Fog wraps the trees like thread. Above you, the clock tower looms. Its face is shattered, the hands rusted, but it ticks not backward. The door at its base is open. You enter. Inside mirrors, hundreds each. One shows a moment in your life, but not just yours. Moments from the lives of others who have entered this place. Names you don't know, voices you've never heard, faces that stare back, confused and watching. You walk until the mirrors end, and there, at the heart of the tower, a final pendulum swings. But this one swings forward, once, only. Once, then stops. You touch it, and you remember everything. The attic, the lantern, the mist, the child, the storm, and the clock. Always ticking, always watching, always waiting for someone to listen. You open your eyes. Back in your hallway, the grandfather clock has vanished, but the ticking remains. Somewhere deeper, in the house, somewhere you haven't looked yet. The man in the corner of your eye, it begins. Again, with rain soft, unrelenting, the kind that carries no wind, only weight. The kind that sinks into the walls of the house and makes everything feel a little slower, a little heavier. You sit by the window, hands wrapped around a warm cup. The light is dim, the world outside smudged by the misty downpour. Trees blur. Street lamps bleed golden halos into the wetness. You watch without really seeing, thoughts drifting like the steam curling from your tea. Then, in the corner of your eye, movement. You turn. Nothing. But it's familiar now. The shape that doesn't quite register. The presence just at the edge of your vision. Not threatening, not fully formed, just there. You tell yourself it's nothing, a trick of the light, a reflection in the window. But it happens again as you move from the kitchen to the hallway. Your gaze passes the old mirror, and just as you blink, you see it again, a tall figure, coat dripping, standing at the far end of the hall. You spin around, empty, just the ticking of the invisible clock somewhere deeper in the house. Just the rain tapping its rhythm against the glass. But your chest is tight now, not in fear, in anticipation, because you know he'll come again, and next time he'll be closer. The house has grown quieter. Each floorboard feels softer, like the wood beneath your feet is listening. The air is still. You can hear your own breathing, the ticking echoing faintly in the background like a second heart. You've begun to notice new things. The coat rack by the door is damp, even though you haven't used it. The rug near the fireplace has faint boot print sweat and disappearing, as if soaked up by the fabric itself. Your reflection seems slower to catch up in the mirrors, just a breath behind, but it's your peripheral vision that betrays you most. When you brush your teeth, you catch the corner of a coat in the mirror. When you close the fridge, something dark moves behind you. When you open the curtains, you glimpse a figure on the porch only for a moment. Each time, you turn and see nothing. But each time, he's closer than before. At first, he lingered near the yard. Now, it's the hallway. You think of calling someone, but what would you say? That someone is standing in your peripheral vision, that your mirrors delay. that your coat rack is wet. So you stay silent, and the man grows bolder at night. You lie in bed and watch the doorway. You don't see him, but you feel it, the weight of something just out of view. The way the shadows lean in the wrong direction, the slight scent of damp wool that hangs in the air. You close your eyes, and the sound comes, drip, drip, like water falling from a coat. On your floor, tonight, he's closer. You see him not just once, but 3 times. First, in the mirror above the sink. His coat drips steadily, though the floor remains dry. Second, behind the curtain, when you glance at the window, just the edge of a shoulder. A boot. A presence that does not belong to the world you can see. Third, he speaks. Only once, just as you're drifting into sleep. When the rain is loudest and your mind is soft with drowsiness. A whisper from the corner of the room, spoken with a breath that brushes the back of your neck. You left me in the rain. You sit up, eyes wide. The room is empty, but the words remain. You rise, walk slowly through the house. Every mirror reflects the house as it was cleaner, brighter, older. But none of them reflect you exactly. In one, your eyes are closed, though you're wide awake. In another, a dark figure stands behind you, but only in the glass. You take down the hallway mirror, set it on the floor, face down. It begins to hum, low, uneven, like a tune remembered from a dream. You find wet footprints leading down the basement. Stairs you follow. The air is cold. The light bulb flickers, and there, in the far corner, just barely, visibly, is a man in a long coat. He does not move, but you hear his breath, slow, even patient. You back away, trip on the final step. When you recover, he is gone, but the basement now smells of lake water and earth, and your reflection in the basement window is no longer yours. You begin to keep a journal. Times, locations, interactions. You note how often he appears, and where, sometimes in mirrors, sometimes in glass, sometimes behind doors, just before you open them. You test it, stand in the center of the living room and spin slowly, watching the corners of your vision, and there he is, just behind the sofa. You snap your head toward it. Empty. You try again. This time, you speak. Why are you here? No response, but later, the hallway smells like wet stone, and your journal page has changed. The ink has bled, but one word is still legible. Remind. You search the attic, the cellar, the guest room you never use. In the drawer, you find a photograph. Old, cracked, black and white. You and another boy, younger. His face scratched out. The back reads, Storm Day, 1994. You don't remember the photo, but you remember the day. You were outside. Too long, someone else was with you, but you came back alone. You told your parents it was just pretend. You stare at the photo for hours, and the man does not appear that night. Not because he's gone, because he's already inside. The next night, the rain begins early. The house shifts with its walls creak. Windows blur, reflections grow slower again. You sit in your bedroom, all the lights off, the photo in your lap, and then, as expected, he appears. In the mirror, at first, he stands behind you. Then, beside you, then, as you blink, in front of you. You don't look at him directly, but you feel him. The cold, the wet, the waiting. You ask softly, what do you want? The answer comes in your own voice, echoing from the mirror. You forgot me. You nod. You remember now. the game in the rain, the dare to walk too far into the woods, the fall, the scream you didn't go back for, the silence you kept, the years you buried it beneath pretend. The man in the coat nods, and then, finally, you meet his gaze. His face is not monstrous, it is yours. You. If you had stayed behind, you. If you had drowned beneath the guilt, you. If no one had come back, you reach forward, touch the mirror. The glass ripples, the rain stops. You are alone, truly alone. But the weight is gone. The reflection is yours again. You step away, turn out the lights, and sleep without dreams. Rain that falls. Inside the house it begins with a sound. Soft, familiar, comforting even. You're reading in the quiet of the living room when you first hear it, the patter of rain. Not on the roof, not at the windows, but from inside. You pause, set the book down. The fire crackles low beside you. Outside, the world is still dry, untouched by storm. The evening air is cool but clear, yet the sound continues. Drip, ... drop, ... Patter, you rise slowly. It's coming from the hallway. You walk softly across the wooden floor. As you reach the edge of the living room, your breath stills. There, halfway down the hall, the light from the sconces glints off something on the floor. You crouch. A small puddle, perfectly round, still no trail. No broken ceiling above it. No dripping pipe. Just water. As if the sky found its way into your home. You reach out, touch it. It's cold. And then you hear it again. Not from the hallway. This time from the upstairs landing. Another soft patter. You stand, and now you realize the rain is not falling randomly. It's falling in lines, one at a time. First in the hallway, then the landing, then the attic stairs. Like it's tracing something, following a memory, or perhaps leading you toward it. The next day, you test the house. You walk each room, check the ceilings, the pipes, the skylights. Everything is dry. No signs of leaks. The attic is untouched. The roof is solid, but at dusk, it begins again. This time in the kitchen. A few drops at first, then a light, steady rain falling straight from the ceiling without wetting it. You place a bowl beneath it, watch it fill, and you notice something strange. The drops don't cause ripples. They land, but do not disturb the surface. You touch the water, still no movement. It feels like time is paused inside. You lift the bowl and carry it to the sink, but the moment you cross the threshold into the hallway, it vanishes. No spill, no trace, gone. And when you return to the kitchen, the puddle is gone too. You stand in the quiet, heart beating slowly, and from the hallway mirror, you see your reflection, standing not where you are, but several steps behind it. Does not move. You do. Over the next few nights, the rain inside the house becomes a pattern. It always begins with a whisper, then a breath of wind you cannot feel, then the soft sound of droplets striking wood, glass, or cloth. Sometimes it's the hallway, sometimes the stairs. Once you wake to find it falling gently onto your bed, yet you are dry. You try to film it. Your phone records only the sound. No visual. You set out bowls, glasses, towels. Nothing ever stays. But with each instance, something in the house shifts. Furniture nudges slightly. Paintings hang a little more crooked. A closed book opens to a page you didn't mark. One morning, you find the hallway clock ticking forward again. After weeks of counting backward, you open your journal. Words you didn't write appear between the lines. It doesn't want to be remembered. That night, The rain falls silently. You don't hear it. You feel it, not on your skin but in your memory. You begin to follow it. Wherever the rain falls, you go. One night it leads you to the basement, another to the far wall of the attic, where the boards are darker and older. You find wet footprints bare, small, leading in and then vanishing mid-step. You notice something else too. Photographs are changing again, one in particular. A family portrait you don't recall taking featuring you, your parents, and a young boy with his face turned away. The next night, the boy turns slightly. You see part of his cheek, the next, his eyes, and they are yours, but younger and sad. You wake one night to find rain falling in your room again. It taps only on the foot of your bed. One droplet falls every 5 seconds, measured precise. You count them, 20-4 drops. After the final one lands, the house exhales and all the lights go out. You light a candle. On your wall is a new shadow. Not yours, it wears your shape, but not your stillness. And in the flickering light, you see it reach up and touch the ceiling, where no rain falls, only silence. You try to leave the house, just once, a short walk down the driveway, but with every step, the world grows quieter. Trees blur, roads stretch too long. You feel the rain behind you, pulling like thread. When you turn around, your house is gone, only mist, and in it, a figure, coat wet, face obscured. You blink, you're home again, shoes damp, rain falling gently on. The hallway stares. You accept it now. This is not your house, not entirely. It never was. It was borrowed from memory, from guilt, from something left behind during a storm. Long ago, you sleep little now, but you dream more in your dreams. You walk through rooms of rain. Each room holds a different version of your life. One where you answered the knock. One where you left the attic, window open. One where you didn't forget the voice calling from the cellar. You pass through them like someone walking backward through time. In the last room, there is no rain, only dust, only stillness, and in the center, a chair facing away from you. You sit in it, and you wake, always at the same time, for 17 a.m. every night, and each time, the floor beside your bed is wet, but your feet are dry. Tonight, the rain begins earlier. It falls in every room. Not loud, but steady. Every surface glens. The walls breathe. The mirrors fog. And from the center of the living room, you hear music. A tune played slowly on a piano you don't own. You follow it. The keys echo faintly. Like memory through water, the figure is there. Not in the mirror, not in the corner of your eye, but in the room. You don't move, neither does he. The rain passes through him. You watch each droplet fall through his coat and vanish. Into the floor he turns to you, face still obscured. He raises a hand, points upward. You understand. The attic, you climb slowly. With each step, the air grows heavier. The rain grows softer. The attic door opens without touch, and inside silence, except a soft sound, like something dripping onto wood. You look up. Rain falls from the rafters. Not water, exactly. Something slower, like time, and beneath it, an object wrapped in cloth. You kneel. Unwrap it. A box. Inside, letters addressed to you, written in a child's hand, all ending the same way. Why didn't you come back? You sit for hours. The rain falls steady. Above you read every letter. Each one is an echo, not of anger, but of waiting, and the house feels it. Every wall leans in, every floorboard hums. You walk to the attic window, look out at a world you know is no longer outside. Only the house remains, and the rain. You whisper, "I'm here now." And for the first time, the rain inside the house begins to stop, one room at a time, until only a single droplet falls into your hand and disappears. The mirror that reflects tomorrow, it begins with silver light. The storm outside is slow and heavy, but every flash of lightning paints your room in a soft metallic sheen, like the color of old film. Shadows stretch and retract like breathing. You sit by the mirror. You don't remember walking to it, but here you are. It's not just any mirror. This one was here when you moved in. Heavy frame, worn gold leaf, the kind of antique no one throws away, even if it reflects too much. You stare into it. The room behind you is quiet, still, but in the glass, something moves. Your reflection blinks, a heartbeat late. At first, you think it's your imagination, a trick of sleep, an stormlight, but then it speaks, mouth moving silently. You lean closer, so does it, and now, as the thunder rolls overhead, the mouth moves against low, deliberate, words you can't hear, but somehow you know you've said them. You just haven't said them yet. You leave the mirror and try to shake it off. Maybe you've been too tired. Maybe it's the thunder, how it makes time feel like it's folding. But the mirror stays heavy in your thoughts. You begin noticing small differences. Your reflection doesn't always match your movements. Sometimes it lingers after you've stepped away. Sometimes its hands are closed when yours are open. You try to catch it, move quickly, test it. It's perfect until it's not. Late one evening, as you brush your teeth, you look up and see your reflection watching you, but it's already placed the toothbrush down. Your hands still move, but the version in the glass is waiting. Then it nods, once, and you freeze. It mouths 2 words, "Get out." You turn, no one is behind you, but the door to the hallway is open. You're certain you closed it, and in the mirror it's still shut. You spin back to the glass. The door is now open there, too, and your reflection is gone. The next night, the lightning returns. This time, you watch the mirror from your bed. The flashes light the room. Each time, your reflection shows something slightly different. A book placed on the nightstand that isn't there. A glass tipped over. A window cracked open. You look around, the book isn't there. The glass is upright. The window is closed until morning. You wake. The book is beside the lamp. The glass is spilled. The window's latch is undone, exactly as you saw it. Your hands tremble not with fear, but with something deeper. Recognition. You are being shown something, not the past, not the present, but a version of what is coming. Each time you try to ignore it, the mirror becomes more insistent. One night, it shows you writing something down frantically into your journal. When you look at your journal, it's blank. By morning, the page has words you don't remember writing. In your handwriting. A sentence at the top: "Don't answer the second knock." That day, no one visits at night. A knock comes. Once. Then silence. Then again, twice. You freeze, and you do not move. The mirror fogs over on its own, as if breathing. And behind the clouded glass, you see yourself smiling. Relieved, you whisper, "Thank you," and your reflection nods. the house begins to shift. Again, not physically, but emotionally. It feels as though it's waiting with you now. Each night, you sit with the mirror, watch for signs. It offers small glimpses, a light flickering out, a hand reaching for a candle, your own voice whispering things you've not yet thought. Then it shows you yourself holding a letter, a name you haven't spoken in years. You don't recognize the handwriting. You check your mail the next day. Nothing until dusk, when a letter arrives, handwritten. No stamp, no return address, just your name. And inside a single sentence, you will not be alone when it ends. You check the mirror that night, and for the first time, your reflection is crying, but your own cheeks are dry. You search the history of the mirror online, in books, in local archives. It belonged to a house that burned down over a century ago. The only surviving item, it was passed through families. Unsold, unclaimed, always inherited. No one kept it for long, but none ever broke it. You try to move it, it will not budge. You cover it with a cloth, but in your dreams, the cloth burns away, and you see yourself inside it, againly, older, wiser, more tired, but always watching. You realize something slowly. The mirror is not showing you the future, it is showing you yourself, as you will be, if you listen, or if you don't want stormy evening. It shows you standing at the attic stairs. You are holding a candle, and you are whispering, "I understand now." You don't understand, yet, but you feel close. You go to the attic. Everything is as expected. Dust, silence, boxes, until the mirror shifts, shows a floorboard being lifted. You follow, under the board, a small tin box. Inside, a bundle of letters, all addressed to you, written by you, each sealed, each dated with days that haven't come yet. And at the bottom of the staker, final one, no date, just a question. Will you choose to forget, or to remember everything? You don't sleep that night. The mirror doesn't either. It flickers with scenes you've never lived, but may soon. You walking into a field, you holding a child's hand, you standing by a grave, and then you at a desk writing this very sentence, and, smiling, you open your journal. The sentence is already there. You write beneath it, "I am ready." The mirror clears. You see yourself centered, alone, but at peace. And then the storm ends. Not just outside, but inside the house. Inside you. The voice beneath the floorboards, it begins with a hum. Not the kind that fills a room with comfort, but the kind that slides beneath your skin low, continuous, just out of reach. It arrives with the storm. A hush before the rain, a whisper beneath the thunder. The house hears it before you do. The walls grow quiet, the mirrors dull. The attic doesn't creak the way it usually does, but the floorboards begin to sing, only slightly at first. You think it's the storm. Maybe the wind catching the frame, or rain pooling somewhere it shouldn't. But when you kneel down to listen, you realize it's not coming from around the floor. It's coming from within it. A vibration, a sound without words. You press your palm to the wood. It's warm, warmer than it should be. And then you hear it clearly. A hum, repeating over and over. A lullaby with no name. You rise slowly. The rain has begun to fall now. Outside the windows, the world melts into shadows. But inside, the storm has awakened something old, something buried. The hum beneath the floorboards deepens, And your name is not spoken, but it's known. You begin to trace it, room by room, step by step. The hum grows louder beneath certain places, beneath the hallway, near the linen closet, the corner of the guest bedroom, the stairs, always where the boards are oldest, always where you've never dared to look too closely. You drop to your knees, tap the wood, hollow but not empty. The voice does not speak in syllables, it sings in memory. You lie flat on your stomach in the hallway, ear pressed to the ground. Your breath fogs the wood, and you hear it, not a voice, a melody, sorrowful, circular, slow. It rises from below like steam. You whisper into the floor, "Who are you?" The answer is not words, it is warmth, a slow pulse of heat against your cheek, like something waking, like something remembering it had a name. Over the next few days, the humming deepens. It becomes part of the house. The fridge ticks in its rhythm. The faucet drips to its beat. The trees outside sway in tune with its pull. You stop using lights at night. The sound is clearer in darkness. You begin to dream of wooden tunnels, long halls beneath the ground where no light lives. You walk barefoot across cold planks. The hum echoes through your bones in one dream. You meet yourself, not in a mirror, but crawling toward you through the dark, mouth closed, eyes open. Humming, you wake before it reaches you, but your feet are dirty and your nails have splinters beneath them. You decide to find it. Whatever is beneath, you fetch a lantern. You pull up the corner of the hallway rug, revealing the knotted wood grain beneath. You knock once. The hum replies lower now, as if pulled closer by your touch. You pry at the edges of the boards, gently, respectfully. One gives then another. Soon the air beneath rises to meet you, dusty, wet, and thick with age. You lower the lantern. The crawl space is deeper than it should be. It stretches for impossibly far, lined with wood, older than the foundation you lower yourself in. The hum surrounds you now, not loud, but everywhere you crawl. The walls don't close in, but they breathe. You feel them flex as you move, and ahead you see light. Not fire, not electric, a soft, grey shimmer. Like moonlight on the ocean, it leads you to a door, too small to stand in, too large to ignore. You press your palm to it, the hum stops. The silence is worse. You push, it opens. The room is round. Its walls are lined with mirrors, cracked, warped, leaning inward like teeth. In the center, a chair, and in the chair, a figure, still, not asleep, not awake. Wrapped in cloth and shadow, their chest rises and falls, with a breath too slow to be human. You whisper, "What are you?" The figure shifts, not to face you, to listen. You step closer. The hum begins again. But from you, your throat, your lungs, a sound you've never made. But no, your body remembers it. Your blood matches its rhythm. You speak a word you've never learnt, and the figure stands. The chairs creaks. The walls lean in, and for the first time, the figure lifts their head. And it is you, older, worn, mouth stitched shut, eyes wide, and humming through their ribs. You run through the tunnel, through the crawl space, into your house. The boards close behind you. The rug recovers itself, but the hum remains in your chest, like an echo or a seed. You cough, dust, wood splinters. A single drop of water falls from your lip. You feel your voice shifting, warping. You try to speak. Only the hum comes out. You write instead, pages and pages. The melody, transcribed in slashes and curves. You don't know the notes, but your hand does at night. The floorboards answer. They sing back to you. They remember. You avoid the mirror now, because in it, you no longer move. First your reflection does, and sometimes it hums. You begin to see others, not people, not fully, just flickers in corners, beneath chairs, behind doors, all humming the same song. All still waiting. You realize you've joined something. Not a curse, not a possession. A memory too deep to forget. A melody too old to silence. You walk barefoot now. Always you listen with your palms. You sleep on the floor where the voice is clearest, where the hum becomes breath, and the breath becomes thought, and the thought becomes not yours. One night, the voice beneath the floor changes. It calls no longer just a hum now. It says your name, not loudly, gently, from below, from everywhere. You open the floor without fear. You climb back into the earth. The tunnel welcomes you. The chair is empty now. You sit, and the walls begin to breathe, in time with you. And you hum, and from above, footsteps, someone else in the hallway, leaning down. Listening, just like you did. The lantern bearers smile. The lane outside your house floods during heavy storms. It always has. The rain collects in the ruts left by forgotten carriages, and the puddles reflect the sky like shallow mirrors. By morning, it drains and dries like it was never there. But tonight, the water does not recede. It rises. It laps at your doorstep before midnight. You watch it through the glass. The way it pools in unnatural patterns, forming long shapes paths, even leading away from the world you know. And at the end of the lane, standing ankle deep in dark water, is the lantern bearer. They hold the flame at shoulder height, a flickering orb behind glass, golden and slow, as if caught in syrup. Their other hand is empty. Their coat is long and colorless. Their smile is wide and unblinking. You have never seen this person before, but you know them, not from waking memory, from sleep, from the space. Between dreams, they have waited in the corner of your unconscious mind, for years offering you a hand you never took, until now, because tonight the lantern's glow touches your door, and the rain pauses. You do not remember opening the door, but you are standing in the water, barefoot. The lantern bearer does not speak. They do not beckon, but they turn and walk. You follow. The water makes no sound beneath your feet. The trees lean in overhead, their branches forming a vaulted canopy. As the storm rumbles above, the lantern stays dry, untouched. You try to speak, but the moment your lips part, the wind rises and drowns your words. So you walk in silence, through water that gets no deeper, through air that feels too still, through a world you know isn't real but is also more true than anything you've ever touched. The lantern bearer leads you past places you don't remember building, a stone arch, a weeping tree, a rowboat, turned upside down, but your heart remembers them. You see a gate once painted red. You see a bridge with no supports. You see shadows flickering in windows that have no house behind them. And you feel something strange, relief. As if your soul has been trying to return to this place for lifetimes. You reach a bend in the path. The lantern bearer stops. They point down. There is no more lane, only deep water, still reflective. They offer you the lantern. You take it, and when you look up, they are gone. But the smile remains, burned into the air like a scar. The lantern is warm in your hands. It hums faintly, like it's alive. You turn back, the lane is gone. There is only water, and ahead something glimmers. A structure, a chapel, a ruin, a house. Its walls are warped, its door is wide open, and the reflection of the building is perfect in the still surface of the water. Except the reflection shows it intact, bright, alive. You step forward with each footfall. The water does not ripple. The lantern grows heavier. It begins to hum louder. And you understand, it does not want to go in, but it must, because this place has waited for the lantern, not for the bearer, for you. Inside the house smells like rain trapped in memory. You see yourself in every room, not as you are, as you were, as you will be. You holding a flower you forgot you picked. You crying over a letter you haven't written yet. You speaking to someone who looks like a mirror. Every wall holds a window. Every window shows a version of you. None turn to meet your eyes, except one in the smallest room. The mirror is cracked, but the you inside. It smiles, not kindly, not cruelly, only knowingly. You lift the lantern, and your reflection lifts a key. It's not in your hand, but you feel its weight anyway. You close your eyes, and the house begins to breathe. The floor disappears. The roof fades. The walls fall into black, and you are beneath the lane, not in water. In memory, it stretches around you an ocean of everything you forgot. Footsteps echo above, walking your past. Laughter spills down through the boards. Crying seeps through the beams. The lantern bearer stands before you again, but their face is yours, not as you know it, as others have seen it. Older, gentler, sadder, they hold out the lantern again. This time, you give it back, and the floor opens, revealing a spiral staircase made of bone and light. You descend, and the hum of the lantern becomes a voice. The voice is not loud, but it is endless. It tells you your dreams, in reverse. It tells you your regrets, sung as lullabies. It tells you your name, not the one you use. The real one, the one the wind once whispered when you were born. You do not speak, you only listen, and with each step, the smile of the lantern bearer echoes inside you, until finally, you step into a room carved from time, and in the center, a mirror, not glass, not water, perfect. Still, you lean in and see the first moment you ever lied, the first time you ran instead of stayed, the first time you looked away from someone who needed you. The smile behind you returns, and gently your reflection nods, as if to say, you can return if you choose. You do not return the way you came. You rise through a field in daylight, where rain falls in reverse, and the house stands as it did the day you moved in new, unworried. The lantern rests on your porch, no longer lit, but still warm. You open the door. The inside is just as you left it, and just as you never saw it before. There's a letter on your table, your name on the front inside. One sentence, "Thank you for carrying me." You place the lantern beside your bed. You sleep without dreams, and when you wake, the lane is dry, but your shoes are still wet, and in the fogged glass of your window, someone smiles and walks away. The windowless room that breathes, you find yourself stepping into a room unlike any other, a room that holds no windows, no view, no clear boundary to the world outside. The walls are smooth and unyielding, yet you sense them softly pulsing, as if the room itself inhales and exhales with a slow, steady breath. It is a quiet breath, almost imperceptible, but it fills the space with a gentle rhythm, a heartbeat that seems alive and patient. As you settle into this curious space, your senses begin to adjust to the absence of light and air moving through cracks or openings. The room is sealed, yet the air does not feel stagnant. Instead, it flows in gentle waves, carrying the faint scent of earth and rain, an echo of the world beyond these walls. It's as though the room is breathing in the quiet storm outside, inviting it to mingle with the stillness within. You feel the softness of the floor beneath your feet. It is cool, smooth, almost like polished stone or thickened glass, but it does not chill you. Instead, it grounds you, anchoring you in this strange shelter that feels both foreign and familiar. You notice the faintest vibrations, a gentle hum beneath the surface, like a song barely heard. The room's breath, the pulse of its walls, seems to speak in quiet tones meant just for you. The rain taps softly somewhere nearby. No sharp drumming on windowsills, no sudden gusts. Instead, it moves slowly, slipping through unseen cracks as if drawn by the room's quiet invitation. The droplets do not splash or scatter. They slide and linger, a rhythmic trickle that hums like a lullaby. The moisture rises, weaving into the air like a whisper, a soft mist that wraps around your skin with delicate coolness. Your breathing slows, matching the cadence of the room's gentle pulse. The quiet throb in the walls mirrors your own heartbeat, a calming echo that soothes the edges of your mind. Time feels suspended here, stretched between moments so thin that the present seems to fold into itself. You are both outside and within, a visitor held in the patient embrace of this windowless sanctuary. The room seems to listen as much as it breathes. It holds memories you cannot name, soft echoes of voices and footsteps long faded, traces of warmth that linger like a forgotten touch. Yet there is no weight to these remnants, no fear or sorrow. Instead, they float gently around you like a mist of comfort, like the soft exhale of someone sleeping nearby. Your eyes adjust to the dimness, tracing the curves of the walls as they pulse with life. The surface shimmers faintly, like the ripple of water disturbed by a gentle breeze. Light seems to come from within the walls themselves, a muted glow that changes with the rhythm of the room's breath. It shifts from pale silver to a soft, warm amber, wrapping the space in a cocoon of quiet light. The air is cool but never biting, brushing your skin like the tender touch of a feather. You reach out your hand, feeling the invisible currents that stir in the room. They move like gentle waves, caressing your fingers and tracing delicate patterns over your skin. You imagine the room is breathing through you, sharing its slow pulse, its quiet rhythm. At the center of the room, a faint warmth rises from the floor, a gentle pulse beneath your feet that matches the throb of the walls. You imagine it as the room's heart, steady, slow, and endlessly patient. It beats with a kindness that invites you to rest, to let your thoughts soften and your worries dissolve. There is no urgency here, no rush of time, no pressing need to move or speak. Instead, the room offers a stillness that wraps around you like a warm blanket, soothing and endless. The breath of the walls becomes a guide, a quiet companion leading you deeper into calm. The trickling rain shifts in tone, becoming almost musical, a soft patter that blends seamlessly with the room's gentle hum. It sounds like a slow dance of droplets, each one tracing its path with careful grace. You close your eyes and let the sound carry you. Like a stream flowing softly past a quiet shore, your mind drifts, floating in the quiet spaces between breaths. You feel the room's presence all around, a silent witness to your stillness. It does not demand your attention, only your willingness to be here, to receive its calm. As moments pass, you become aware of a faint warmth on your cheek, as if the room exhales a gentle sigh that brushes your skin. The air is alive with soft movements, tiny shifts in temperature and light, that make the space feel endlessly changing, yet unchanging. You sense a quiet intelligence here, a gentle awareness that holds no judgment, only acceptance. Your thoughts slow to a steady rhythm, matching the room's patient pulse. Memories of the day fall away, replaced by a sense of deep peace and quiet. Curiosity. The room is a safe harbor, a place where the world's sharp edges blur into soft shadows, and the unknown is simply another part of the gentle breath. You feel yourself sinking deeper into the quiet, your body relaxing as if the room itself is cradling you in its slow inhale and exhale. The steady rhythm becomes a song of stillness, a melody that carries you away from noise and worry. The rain's soft murmur fades into a gentle hush, as if the storm itself has paused to listen. The walls pulse one last time, a slow, deep throb that resonates through your whole being. It leaves you with a sense of calm expectancy, a quiet wonder about what might come next. In this windowless room that breathes, you are suspended between night and dream, between breath and silence. The space holds you gently, offering a quiet refuge where fear dissolves into calm and mystery becomes a soft invitation. You rest here a moment longer, carried by the slow rhythm of walls that live and breathe. And as your eyelids grow heavy, you sense a gentle pull, a whisper of the next quiet secret waiting just beyond this stillness. You step into a world softened by steady rain, a gentle cascade that blurs the edges of everything, turning sharp lines into whispers of shadow and light. The air is cool and thick with the scent of wet earth and old leaves, wrapped in the quiet sigh of falling droplets. Somewhere near, the faint creak of a swing moves slowly back and forth, slicing through the silence like a breath caught between dreams and waking. The swing sways gently, but no wind stirs the air. It hangs alone beneath a tree with bare branches, leaves long since shed to the rain's quiet song. The chains whisper softly as they move, a slow, rhythmic creaking like the ticking of a forgotten clock, steady and unhurried. You watch as the swing rocks back and forth in a pattern too measured to be casual, too alive to be still, and there seated on the swings a child. She rocks slowly, her form small and fragile in the rain's embrace. Her clothes cling lightly, drenched and darkened, tracing the outline of slender arms and legs that move only with the swing's gentle push. Her hair, damp and tangled, shimmers with droplets that catch the soft light like tiny stars scattered across a quiet night. Her eyes are fixed on you, wide and steady, they never blink, holding your gaze with a calm that is both unsettling and strangely peaceful. The stillness of her stare feels like a bridge between worlds, an unspoken invitation wrapped in the quiet pulse of falling rain. She does not speak, yet you sense the words hovering between you, soft lullabies, carried by the dripping rain. Like the notes from a broken music box, spinning slowly, its melody cracked but persistent. The sound weaves through the air, carrying a haunting sweetness that draws you closer. Even as the chill in your bones deepens, you move toward her, each step slow and careful, your feet sinking lightly into the soft earth beneath the tree. The rain patters against your skin, cool and steady, a gentle rhythm that mirrors the swing's creaking song. The child's eyes never waver, steady and patient, as if she has been waiting for you in this moment, in this place, for an eternity. The space between you feels suspended in time. The rain's soft hiss mingles with the swing's slow creak, creating a delicate harmony that fills the quiet night. You notice how the air holds a subtle vibration, a hum beneath the surface that resonates with your own heartbeat. steady and slow as you approach. You see the child's hands grip the swing's ropes lightly, her fingers slender and pale like porcelain. Her feet hover just above the ground, moving in rhythm with a slow sway, never touching the earth. Her body is still except for the rocking, an image of calm caught between the worlds of rain and shadow. You reach out tentatively, your hand trembling slightly in the cool air. The child's gaze follows your movement with unblinking intensity, as if she knows your thoughts before they form. The air thickens with the scent of rain-washed wood and distant memories, wrapping around you like a soft, familiar cloak. The swing creaks again, a slow, deliberate sound that echoes through the space, each note a gentle call carried by the rain. The child's lips part slightly, and you sense the beginning of a lullaby. A song without words but full of meaning, quiet invitation to listen and remember. The rain intensifies just a touch, falling in gentle sheets that blur the world around you into soft waves of silver and blue. The child's eyes gleam with a depth beyond years, reflecting the rippling rain and the quiet hope held in your chest. Her presence is a calm harbor in the storm, a silent promise that even in solitude, you are never truly alone. You close your eyes for a moment, letting the rain wash over your face, cleansing and cool. The lullaby drifts in your mind, a gentle echo that seems to pulse with the beat of the swing's creak and the steady rhythm of your breath. It draws you deeper into the quiet, a soft dance between light and shadow, between waking and dreaming. When you open your eyes, the child's gaze softens just a little, a faint smile touching her lips, a secret shared between souls in the quiet rain. The swing slows its rhythm, the creak fading to a gentle whisper that blends with the raindrops falling softly on the earth. You realize the rain is not just falling, it is singing. A broken music box melody poured gently from the sky, each drop a note in a lullaby for the lost, the waiting, the quietly hopeful. The child on the swing rocks ever so slowly, her presence a calm anchor in the shifting storm. Time feels suspended here, stretched between moments like the slow arc of the swing's path. You sense a quiet invitation to stay, to listen, to be, carried by the rain's song and the child's unwavering gaze as you turn to leave. The creak of the swing follows you, a soft call lingering in the damp air, a reminder that some presences remain long after the rain has passed, woven forever into the quiet spaces where dreams begin. The fog that tastes like memory, you open the door and the world has vanished. Not in the dramatic way of dreams or disaster snow. It's a quiet vanishing, a polite erasure, the sort where reality doesn't break, it simply forgets to arrive. Fog rests thickly across the land, not rolling, not drifting, just sitting, heavy and unmoving, like a curtain someone drew halfway and left that way. It covers the trees, the lane, the fields. Beyond it covers the sky. It muffles the world into a memory you weren't expecting. You take one step forward, then another. Your shoes sink slightly into the wet earth, and immediately the fog wraps around you, not with cold, but with warmth. Damp and strange, like being held by something that used to be alive. Then the taste hits your tongue, not metal, not water, not the usual flavors of rain, but cinnamon, old paper, firewood, a spoon you used to chew as a child. You stop walking because you know this taste. You just can't name it, and that's what makes it worse. Because the moment you try to name it, a flicker of something comes rushing back, your grandmother's porch in late autumn, the back of your throat during a childhood fever, a voice humming behind a closed door, none of them complete, all of them true. The fog thickens, and so does the taste. It isn't just in your mouth, now it's behind your eyes. The air feels flavored with memory. You breathe in and suddenly recall the exact shape of your childhood bedroom's doorknob. You blink and your brother's name, long forgotten, floats just below your awareness like something seen underwater. The fog curls around your ankles and lifts up toward your waist like it's reading your pulse, sinking to the rhythm of your thoughts. You whisper, "What are you?" The fog says nothing, but your mouth replies, "I used to know." You didn't mean to say that. The words feel borrowed. You turn back toward the house. It's still there, technically, but now it's blurry, smoothed. The angles are wrong. The windows too tall. The roof a little too low, as though the house is remembering itself differently, or worse, remembering you differently. You shut your eyes and take a deep breath. The taste changes again. Burnt toast, a kiss you regret, your mother's perfume on a Sunday you wish you hadn't ruined. When you open your eyes, the path in front of you is no longer straight. It curves softly to the left, toward a tree that wasn't there yesterday, a familiar one from somewhere. You squint and you see it. The swing, the rope swing your uncle hung in the yard the summer. You turned 8. It can't be, that tree was cut down years ago. You walked past the stump last week, but here it is now, alive, tall, swaying gently despite no breeze. You take another step forward. The fog parts slightly, a figure small, child-sized runs past you. You don't see their face, just a shape, just sound, bare feet on damp earth, a giggle that sounds like your cousin who vanished. When you were 12, you don't chase the figure, because this isn't the kind of story where you chase things. This is the kind of story where you wait for them to come back around, because they will. They always do. Everything loops. Here, you look at your hands. They're shaking slightly, not from cold, from recognition. Somewhere deep inside, something stirs, not panic, not even memory, just the sensation of being close to something you forgot you lost. The fog tastes sweeter now, like birthday, cake and wooden pencils and rainwater from a gutter, and you know the path ahead is curving again. You can feel the shape of it in your feet, circling something, maybe a house, maybe a grave, maybe just an idea of yourself you haven't met yet. But you'll follow it, because the fog isn't here to scare you, it's here to help you remember. Even if what you remember wasn't yours to begin with, the fog walks with you. That's the only way to describe it. It doesn't swirl or scatter. It doesn't trail behind like mist. It keeps pace like a companion, like an old friend afraid to be seen. You follow the curved path. It doesn't lead straight, and you begin to understand it isn't meant to. Each bend feels like turning the pages of a forgotten album. You never see the next memory until you're already in it, to your left. The shape of a garden fence emerges, not the one outside your home now, the one from your childhood, low, crooked, the paint chipped and flaking like thin skin. You run your hand along it. The slats are still warm from a sun that isn't here. The moment your fingers touch the wood, the fog pulls in closer, and the scent changes. Rain on concrete, boiled carrots, old coins. You take another breath. School shoes on wet linoleum, a broken mug in your father's hand, a drawer full of things you were told not to touch. You blink hard, and the fence vanishes. Ahead now stands a shed. Its roof buckles inward. One door hangs slightly open. A single red bicycle leans against the wall, its frame rusted, tires flattened, seat missing. You never owned that bicycle, but you've dreamed of it. In that recurring dream where the sky is yellow and your legs don't quite work, you approach it, touch the handlebars. The world tilts slightly. You hear your name spoken, but not by anyone present, and not in the voice of someone living. The fog tastes like red thread and paper cuts. The smile of someone who asked you to keep a secret. You let go of the bicycle. It does not fall. It never would. The shed, the bike, the bent roof there, not memories. They're residues. The leftovers of someone else's remembering. And now the fog carries more than yours. It begins whispering things you haven't thought in years. Not word sensations. The itch of a wool sweater under your school uniform. The ache of growing teeth. The sound of a wooden spoon scraping the bottom of a pot. Each time it happens, the fog changes. Texture thickens around your knees, then your shoulders. As though lifting you into the past by your senses alone. You begin to feel it behind your ears. The way a memory feels when it's about to arrive but not quite. And the landscape obeys. The path ahead warps again. This time it curves into a hallway. Not outside. Inside, but not from your house. Not exactly. It's a mash of several corridors. You've known your grandmother's hallway with the ticking clock. Your dormitory's echoing floor. The soft carpet from that hotel where you cried and didn't know why. And down at the end of the hallway is a door. It's not marked, but you know it's locked, because you've been here before. In dreams, in flashes, in moments when you lost track of time, while brushing your teeth or staring at rain, you reach the door and place your hand on the knob. The fog gathers at your back, like it's watching, waiting. You turn the handle, it opens. Of course it does, because you've come far enough now, because it wants you to see inside. The room is empty, not empty as in you, NFURNISHED, empty as in waiting. The kind of emptiness that has teeth. The walls are grey and pulsing slightly. No corners, just ROUNDNES, like the inside of something living. On the floor, a puddle, still perfect. You kneel beside it. It reflects nothing, not even your face. You reach to touch it but hesitate. The fog presses in at the doorway, holding back as if it doesn't want to come in. You lean forward. The puddle ripples before you touch it. Then you see it. A reflection that isn't yours. A face you don't know, but feels carved into your bones. Someone you dreamed of when you were sick. Someone who watched from the corner of your childhood closet. Someone who once told you they'd return when the sky tasted like iron. You blink, the reflection is gone. Just water again, but your hand is wet. Even though you never touched it. And the smell rising from your skin is unmistakable. Ashes and mothballs and the underside of your grandfather's coat. A coat you haven't seen in 30 years. You stand. The fog has entered the room. It curls along the walls, tasting each surface. It doesn't hum. It listens, like it's memorizing the shape of the space. The path behind you is gone. Of course, it always disappears when you're close. Close to what? Not the end. There is no end. Only the loop. The path has begun to curl in on itself. You've walked here before. Maybe not in this life, but certainly in others. And now you realize, every time the fog has come, it hasn't been to erase. It's been to prepare, to make the present soft enough for memory to return. Not as a vision, but as a place, a geography of longing. And you are standing at its center. You feel the floor soften beneath you. You taste yesterday again, and hear the voice of someone you once were singing a lullaby that hasn't been invented yet. The fog has grown darker, not thicker, darker. There's no sun to block, no sky to smother. Yet the air dims, graying into a shade beyond visibility, where things stop casting shadows because they become the shadow. And that's when you notice it. You're not alone. You haven't been since you stepped outside, but now it's different. The presence is no longer woven quietly into the mist. It has shape, mass, intention. It follows just far enough behind to never be seen clearly, but always close enough to feel. You hear it before you see it. The breath, shallow, wet, and wrong, like someone sighing through soaked cloth. It isn't constant, it comes and goes like a tide. And with each breath, the fog shifts direction, responds, as if pulled into rhythm with something that doesn't walk, but waits. You don't turn around. You can't. You know, somehow, that to acknowledge it would invite it closer. Instead, you walk one step at a time, and behind you, so softly, it might be your imagination. Footsteps, not heavy, not light, deliberate. They pause when you pause. They echo in water that isn't there. You pick up your pace, so do they. You speak aloud just to test your voice. Who are you? Silence. And then, barely a whisper, you were supposed to remember me. You spin around, nothing, just fog, still. Silent, but in the air a shape that vanishes when you stare too hard. It doesn't run, it leans toward you from the mist, as if held up by memory alone. And now the fog tastes like old prayers and burnt feathers, like guilt soaked into wood. You begin seeing pieces of it, reflections in puddles, figures in windows that don't belong to any walls. Once, in the side mirror of a car you don't own anymore. You see its eyes, they are yours, but deeper, hollowed by waiting. Each time you try to face it, the world shifts to stop you. A tree falls in your path. The air thickens in front of you. Time loops, a crow flies past. 3 times in the exact same arc. The fog is protecting you, or trying to, but the presence grows. Bolder, it hums now. Your lullaby, the one you forgot until the mirror showed you, humming it in your sleep. It sings just one line, and then stops. Every time you try to finish it, the air swells and chokes your breath. You ask the fog, what does it want? And in the mist, a reply in your own voice, to be let in. The path you're on leads nowhere. Every corner brings you back to a version of the house, sometimes burned, sometimes boarded once. It was just a foundation. The walls change, but the door is always open, and the shadow always stands inside, waiting, never stepping out, always inside. One hand on the wall, one hand reaching toward you, but never across the threshold, as if something binds it there. You want to go in, you almost do, but the fog wraps around your legs gently, like a child tugging at a coat. It doesn't speak, but you feel the message clearly, not yet. So you walk again in a circle, but now the shadow walks with you, no longer trailing beside, not quite touching, but pacing perfectly. You start to speak to it soft, strange questions. Did I make you? Were you always there? Do I become you? Sometimes it answers, sometimes it just listens, but its presence never fades. Even when you shut your eyes, you feel it, and one night, maybe it is night, maybe not, you wake on your porch. The fog is lighter, the world is quiet, and the shadow stands at the foot of the steps, smiling. The smile is not cruel, not kind, just familiar. It speaks without moving its lips, and you hear it from the soles of your feet to the back of your teeth. I was born from the part of you that ran. You sit down hard because you remember now. That moment, long ago, when something begged you to stay and you left. Not out of fear, not out of cruelty, but because you didn't know how to hold something that needed you. The fog hums louder. The shadow lowers its head. Not in shame, in understanding. You say, I was just a child. It replies, so was I. You say, I didn't know how. It replies, but I did. And the fog pulls in. Warm, now taught forgiving, the presence does not vanish. It stays. It will always stay. It does not want revenge. It wants to remember with you. It wants to be named. And naming it begins with accepting that it is you, just the part that waited in the corner of the swing set, or beneath the attic stairs, or on the back porch of a burning dream. And when you turn to look directly at it for the first time, it does not vanish. It kneels beside you and leans its head to yours, and you whisper, I remember now, and it sighs deep and low and becomes smaller, less imposing, not gone, but no longer looming, just there, like a shadow should be, not in front of you, not behind, just at your side, as it always was, as it always will be. You do not run anymore. The fog no longer surprises you. It greets you. It no longer blinds. It reveals. You start to realize the fog isn't hiding the world. It's exposing it. It strips away what's been painted over, peels back time, reminds you of forgotten things, not with force, but with softness, a breath, a scent, a chill at the back of the tongue. You begin to ask questions out loud to the mist, to yourself, to the shadow that walks beside you. Now quieter, now listening. What is this place? Why do the paths repeat? Why do the houses change every time I blink? At first, there is only silence, but the silence feels active, like it's waiting for the right question. So you rephrase, you slow down, you stop trying to solve. Instead, you ask softly, what am I supposed to remember? And something answers, not a voice, not words, but a place, a clearing in the fog you hadn't noticed before. You step into it, and it is full of objects, scattered, weathered, utterly ordinary. A glove, a cracked bowl, a stack of index cards, a music box. You kneel. You pick up the glove, and instantly you're 5 years old again, standing in the entryway of a house you barely recall, holding your mother's hand while she cries quietly into her coat. You drop the glove. The memory vanishes. You reach for the music box. It clicks open. A song plays the same lullaby the shadow sang. And a vision. You're on a bus, looking out at rain. You feel alone but peaceful, like you finally left something behind, but you don't remember what. You place the box down. Every object here holds a sliver of memory, peeled off and left, for you to find again. You explore each one carefully, not to possess, not to fix, but to understand, to witness. Hours pass, maybe days. Time bends in the fog. You sleep when it invites you. You wake when it permits. You learn to ask better questions. You ask, what did I leave behind? You ask, what wanted to be remembered? Each time, the fog draws your attention to something new. A patch of grass that smells like the floor of a library. A rusted swing that creaks a familiar rhythm. A doorknob that is warm despite the cold air. Each one stirs something inside you, not just memory, but connection. You begin to piece together a map, not one of locations, but of meaning. You realize the fog leads you not to places, but to feelings left unfinished. You find your first drawing, sketched in the corner of a brick wall. A child's scrawl in crayon, still vivid despite the weather. You see your first goodbye, etched in chalk beneath a DRAINPIPE. You find your first unspoken apology hanging in the branches of a crooked elm. Each discovery unknots something tight in your chest. Each one lifts a little of the weight you didn't know you'd been carrying. You begin to see others now, shapes in the mist, not the shadow from before, but echoes, silhouettes of people who once touched your life. A teacher you never thanked, a friend you lost track of, a sibling who left the conversation unfinished. They do not speak, but they look at you with eyes full of something softer than forgiveness, remembrance. And in return, you nod, a quiet acknowledgement. You do not need to speak. The fog understands. Words would only disturb the peace. Instead, you walk together for a while. They fade as softly as they came. But you feel fuller now, less hollow, like a part of you was returned by simply being seen. Eventually, you come to a bench. It is old, mustache-covered, wet. But you sit. The shadow sits beside you, no longer towering, no longer echoing, just a shape with your outline, your age, your hands. You ask it quietly, "Why now?" It replies, "Because you are finally still enough to hear." You nod, because it's true. You had to stop chasing answers. You had to stop fearing. Stillness, the fog is not a maze, it's a mirror. And now you can see yourself in it. Not as you are, not as you were, but as you've always been, becoming. You feel your heartbeat slow. You hear the drizzles soften, and you feel a question arrive, not urgent, not sharp, just curious. What comes next? The fog does not answer, but it lifts slightly, just enough to reveal a path that glows faintly ahead. One you haven't walked. One that hums with the smell of chalk and candle wax and freshly turned soil. You rise, not with fear, with calm, and begin to walk. Again, the path ahead does not ask questions, it does not wind or split. It moves straight into something older than memory, but warmer than fear. The fog parts slowly, not in retreat, but in reverence, like curtains drawing back for a quiet performance. And at the end of the path, a tree, gnarled, silver, flickering, as though stitched from threads of lightning. Its branches droop low, heavy, with ornaments made not of glass or gold, but small tokens, things that look familiar. A shoe buckle, a dried daisy, a bead the size of your thumb. You approach the tree slowly. The air here tastes like copper and vanilla. The fog no longer presses in. It watches, soft, respectful. You feel like a guest in a sacred memory that isn't entirely yours. And yet, it welcomes you. One of the branches holds a ribbon. It flutters when you near it. Tied to the ribbon is a bell, teeny, rusted, and utterly still. Until you reach out and touch it, it rings. Not with sound, but with vision. A ripple in the fog, a heartbeat in the soil. And suddenly, you remember, it was a long time ago. You were a child. The rain had come unexpectedly. You had taken shelter under a porch. You didn't recognize. Perhaps you weren't supposed to be there, and someone had joined you. A boy or a girl. Their name lost now, but they had a smile. Like the lantern bearer, they told you stories until the rain stopped. Stories of a tree that held memories, like fruit of a fog that only appeared for those who had forgotten something they were meant to carry. You had laughed, promised to return, but you didn't. You never found the porch again, or the tree, or the lantern bearer, until now. This tree is that tree, This fog is that fog. The stories were true, but they weren't just stories. They were instructions, softly coded reminders left in dreams. And now, as you stand here grown, changed, still unfinished, to remember your promise, to return, to remember, to pass it on. You sit beneath the tree, the fog rests against your shoulder. You pull something from your coat. You don't remember placing it there, but it's warm in your palm, a marble, swirled green and gold. You place it at the base of the tree, and the ground accepts it with a hum. One more memory returned, one more story complete. The shadow kneels beside you, no longer a stranger, not even a separate thing, just you. Return to yourself. The fog brushes your cheek. Like a goodnight kiss, you feel a lightness in your chest. Not joy, not sadness, something softer, something true. You look out into the mist one last time, and you see the other paths now hidden still, but glowing at the edges. Dozens of them, hundreds, each one leading someone to their own fog, their own mirror, their own tree. You were never alone in this place, only quiet, only waiting, and now you're ready, not to leave, but to continue, to carry the memory, to listen when others speak of strange dreams and forgotten paths and shadows in the mist. You will not fear them, you will nod, and maybe, one day, guide someone else toward the fog that tastes like memory. The final door at the end of the storm. The rain has changed. It no longer falls in scattered rhythms or sings its lullabies on rooftops. It flows now steady, thick, like a river suspended in the air. Each drop heavier than the last, as though the sky has grown tired of holding back its sorrow. You stand at the edge of the path, soaked through, but no longer shivering. Your skin has grown accustomed to the cold, the wet, the strange quietness that only storms this deep can bring. The air is neither warm nor cold, but full like it holds every memory you've ever forgotten, suspended in the water, waiting for you to breathe them in, and breathe you do. It tastes of stone and rust and old paper, of candle smoke and old wool coats. It tastes like childhood corners and adult regrets, blended, blurred, like the sky and the mud have decided to become one. You look ahead. The path is lined with bare trees, their limbs bending as if whispering secrets into the fog. No leaves, no birds, just the rhythm of rain and your own breathing. You feel your heartbeat slowing to match the hush around you. And there it is, at the very end of the path, past the last crooked tree, behind a curtain of falling Meester door. Not a house, not a building, just a door, standing alone, as if placed there by something that doesn't need walls. The wood is dark, almost black, but the grain still shimmers like veins beneath skin. Iron hinges hold it upright against nothing. The doorknob is brass faintly glowing with a warmth that suggests someone recently turned it. It does not creak, it does not open, it simply waits. You do not move toward it yet. Your legs know stillness, and you honor that. The door can wait. The storm does not press you, not yet. Instead, you look around. The world is different here. Not louder, not darker, but closer. Each raindrop feels personal, as if it knows your name. The fog that clings to your boots whispers in a voice you almost recognize. The wind does not howl, it listens. And in that silence, something changes inside you. The fear you carried this far begins to loosen, not because you are brave, but because you are ready. There is no one to impress in the fog. No one to fool, only the truth now. Soft as moss beneath your feet, you kneel beside the path. touching the wet earth with your fingers. It pulses faintly, not alive like a heartbeat, but aware, like it remembers your steps. Even before you take them, there are symbols carved into the dirt. Not letters, not drawings, just impressions, memories pressed by other hands, other shoes, other decisions. You feel their presence, not ghosts, not spirits, but echoes of those who came before you. Each one walked this path toward the final door. Some ran, some crawled, some sang lullabies as they approached, hoping the storm would carry their voices further than their bodies ever could. You are not alone in being alone here. That thought holds you like a blanket. You stand, and the door stands too, neither of you moving, just knowing. Your eyes drift skyward. There are no stars, no moon, only layers upon layers of storm cloud, glowing dimly from some hidden source above. It feels like sunrise trapped beneath the waves, and perhaps it is. You are somewhere between places now, not entirely awake, not entirely asleep. This is the threshold of thresholds. You do not need to understand it. You only need to feel it. And you do. Every sound is quieter here, but every silence is louder. Even your thoughts come slower, stretched by the pull of memory and dream. The door waits. It does not beckon. It does not threaten. It simply holds a space, a final chapter, a choice you made long ago, but only now remember making. You begin to walk. The gravel beneath your feet crunches gently, muffled by rain. Each step carries weight not of your body, but of everything you've carried, names, places, sorrows, glimpses of joy that passed like candlelight behind closed shutters. As you move closer, the storm begins to pull back slightly, not in volume, but in meaning. You sense it now, clearer than ever. The rain is not a curse, it is a cleansing. It has washed you page by page. Now you are down to your last one, and the ink is still wet. You are 10 steps away. The doorknob gleams with anticipation or memory. You can't tell which. You feel the hush deepen, like the world is holding its breath, waiting for you to decide if this story will end here or open into something new. You stop, not from fear, from reverence, because you remember now. This is not the first time you've stood at this door, only the first time you've seen it. The others, the whispers, the lantern bearer, the mirror, the footsteps, the clock, all of them were chapters in this journey, pages fluttering toward this moment. You take one more breath, the kind of breath that tastes like goodbye and welcome all at once, and you step forward to the threshold, to the rain-slick wood, to the silence behind the door that somehow hums your name. Your hand hovers just inches from the brass knob. It's warm, radiating, not heat, but memory, like something that's been held many times before. You can almost feel the fingerprints left by others, the faint pulse of decisions made and not unmade. You don't turn it, not yet. Instead, your eyes drift over the surface of the door again. At first, you saw only dark wood and old metal, but now, standing close, you see more. Etched just below the knob is a marker line, curved like a crescent moon. Another, parallel, but cracked through the middle. The more you stare, the more the markings seem to shift, not move, but deepen, as though they are being carved in real time by some invisible hand. And then, a sound, soft, wet dot like fingers sliding across damp wood. You turn your head, slow and steady. There's nothing behind you, nothing ahead, but the door. Yet you feel it again, that presence, the one that has followed you for chapters now, Not hunting, not guiding, just witnessing. A companion made of fog and rain and silence. You take a step back, not in fear, but to see the door in full. That's when you notice it's changing, not physically, not in form, but in meaning. What once looked like an ordinary door soaked and aged now shimmers faintly at the edges. Not gold, not silver, but something older, elemental. The air around it bends slightly, as though light and gravity disagree on how to behave. And in the grain of the wood, you now see what your eyes missed before. Dot scenes, like faint carvings in a church pew. A boy kneeling under a porch. A woman standing beside a river that flows backward. A child holding a lantern, face blurred by fog. You've seen these before. You've been them. Each memory, etched in the fibers of the door, retells your journey. It isn't just a door, it's you made solid, standing still, waiting to be opened. You turn slowly in a full circle, not hurried, not afraid, just aware the path behind you has vanished, not erased, folded away like a dream. Upon waking, all that remains is this patch of ground, this moment, this decision. The storm above thickens, then thins, as if reacting to your breath. And then it happens. A shadow moves across the door, not cast by you, not cast by anything you can see. It moves like oil across a page smear, then gone. Your chest tightens, not in fear, in recognition. The shadow wears your shape, but not your face. It stands in the same posture you held in the mirror that reflected tomorrow. It mouths words you haven't spoken yet. It knocks Dot once, then fades. You step forward again. The knob is closer now. Without you touching it, it draws you gently. Rain trickles down the frame, but the wood remains dry. You reach for the knob once more. It hums beneath your fingertips, softly, as if breathing. And in that breath, you hear the voices. Not loud, not distinct, just murmurs in rhythm with the storm. A lullaby, a warning, a memory, you can't tell which, but it feels important, like the final line in a story you started long ago and forgot to finish. You hesitate, not because you wish to turn back, but because there's something else, something you must see before stepping through. Your eyes scan the area again, this time more focused, and there, on the right side of the door, half buried in mist, you see it. A small signpost, rotting, crooked. The words are barely legible beneath the moss and time, but they are there, etched in a child's hand. This way, home. It knocks the breath from your chest, not because it's eerie, but because you remember writing it. Long ago, in a dream, or maybe a fever. It had been raining that night too. You had scribbled it on a napkin, or a window, or a piece of wood, something transient. You didn't think it would matter, but it's here now, standing, waiting, like the signpost itself came to life, walked into the storm, and placed itself here for this very moment. The fog curls around it lovingly, as if guarding a treasure. You touch the wood of the post. It vibrates faintly, and behind your closed eyelids, you see the other signs you made. In life, the warnings no one listened to, the poems never finished, the doors you closed without understanding what they kept out. They're all here, gathered at this threshold, watching, hoping. You step back to the door. You press your palm against it. It feels like pressing into yourself, a warmth that knows your secrets but forgives them anyway. And just as you begin to turn, the knob, a whisper, faint and low, curls up from beneath the threshold. A single word, you'd spoken not as a name, but as a truth. A declaration that this door belongs to no one else. It will open only to you, and it will show only what you're ready to see. You draw a breath, a long, slow one, letting the storm fill your lungs. The rain no longer feels wet. It feels like memory in vapor form. You close your eyes, and the knob turns under your fingers, but the door does not yet open, not fully, not until you're ready, and so you linger a moment longer, feeling the trembling calm before the veil lifts. Everything you've seen, the porch, the footsteps, the fog, the whispers, the mirror, the voice beneath the floor, all of it led to this moment. Every chapter folded into the wood. Now, the door waits for its final page to be written, not with ink, but with presence. Yours. The moment your fingers leave the doorknob, the storm stills, not in silence, but in suspense. The kind of hush that settles over a theater just before the curtain rises. The fog thickens around your ankles, swirling upward like gentle smoke. It does not choke, it cradles, like hands made of memory, lifting you into a state between waking and sleep. You're not dreaming, but you're not quite real either, and neither is the world around you. The ground beneath your feet feels thinner, less rooted, as if the earth has given permission for the moment to drift. You're floating but standing, present but distant, and just then he arrives again, not fully, not close, but there, at the corner of your eye. The shadow, the man with no name, no voice, no clear face. He lingers at the edge of sight, the same way he has every night you felt watched. Every time a mirror showed one too many reflections. This time, you don't flinch, you breathe instead. And he stays, a coat soaked in rain, hair slicked against a face you can't quite make out. He doesn't move, he doesn't need to. His presence speaks, a conversation through stillness behind him. The world shimmers, like heat rising off wet pavement. You sense the place behind him isn't earth as you know it. It's memory, maybe, or thought, or some deep sea of forgotten possibilities. His feet don't disturb the puddles. His coat doesn't flutter with the wind. He simply is. You step slightly to the side, and yes, he follows, not directly, but adjusting ever so slightly to remain just where your eyes can't fully land. It's always been that way. The man who lives in the corner of your perception, only now he feels closer, more formed, not malevolent, not kind, just inevitable. You wonder if he was always meant to arrive here, just as you were. The rain returns in a thin, gentle, precise. It forms a circle around the door, and you, as if nature itself draws a boundary. Outside the ring, everything darkens. Inside. The light is low and endless, like candlelight inside a sealed jar. You feel warmth at your back. The door glows faintly. You sense it's ready, but still it doesn't open. Not yet. The shadow grows bolder. You feel him now in more than vision. You feel him in the ache of your knees, the tension in your shoulders, the tremble in your fingertips. He doesn't touch you, but something about his presence rearranges your breath. You remember more now, not facts, but feelings, moments that were too quiet to keep. The night your childhood bedroom whispered without wind. The time you felt watched, walking home from school, even when the street was empty. The dream of rain falling inside your home, but only in your closet. He was there for all of it, waiting, watching, growing. He shifts, again, only slightly, but enough that you finally meet his eyes. They are not frightening, not glowing, not empty, just ancient eyes that have seen more than they should, but never looked away. You meet them, and something within you unlocks. You remember the moment you first ignored him. You were 7. You had looked into a window too dark for its reflection, and saw him standing where no floor should be. You blinked, he vanished, and from that moment on, he became your secret. Not to protect him, but to protect yourself. And now, you realize, he wasn't chasing, he was becoming, not a ghost, not a demon, not a guardian, just a part of you that could only form in silence and shadow, the watcher behind every decision not made, the whisper in every moment you stood still, the rain that fell inward. You take a step toward him. He does not retreat, he does not speak, but the world behind him pulses gently, and for the first time you see it clearly. It is not the past, it is not the future, it is every unspoken word, every unopened letter, every pause too long to explain, the space where intentions gathered but never took shape. You are staring into the land of your own almosts, and he is the keeper of that realm, the man who collected all your hesitations like river stones and kept them close, not to use them against you, but to hold them until you were ready. And tonight, you are. You understand now. The door will not open without him, and he will not enter without you. You are mirrors of the same storm. He lifts a hand, slowly, no menace in the motion, only offering palm up, as if asking, not demanding. You hesitate, not because you don't trust him, but because you're not sure who he becomes when he steps out of shadow, who you become when you accept him. But the rain around you speaks soft, taps on your shoulders, like gentle encouragement, like a lullaby made of mist. You reach, fingers stretch toward his, but the moment before contact, the world shifts again. The circle of light narrows. The door begins to open only, slightly. A warm light spills from the seam, golden, dusty, familiar. You both turn to look, and you realize something else. He's not here to stop you. He's here to walk through with you. You do not have to leave parts of yourself behind to pass through this threshold. You only have to face them, and for the first time, the man steps forward fully into view. You see your posture, your doubt, your strength, your silence, all dressed in rain and memory, and he smiles. Not wide, not forced, just enough to let you know. He's always been waiting for this moment, as have you. The door is ajar now. A line of golden haze spills across the wet ground like spilled honey, thick and slow and glowing in the mist. You stand beside the shadow, man no longer a stranger, not entirely known, but familiar, as if part of your breath had always been his. The world behind you is gone, not vanished, folded. The trees, the porch light, the mirror, the attic, all. The storm-born places you traveled through now exist like old letters in a drawer, kept but not active. Before you lies something different, not a scene, not a destination, a question. You lean slightly, peering through the crack in the door. At first you see nothing, but the golden light pulses once, and something inside adjusts your eyes, your heart, your pace. You begin to see it's a hallway, but one that seems to stretch and bend in impossible ways. Walls lined with faded wallpaper patterns. You feel like you've seen before in dreams or in childhood photos you no longer own. There are doors within, spaced unevenly. Some have names carved into the wood, others bear symbols knots, keys, moons, tears, and then there's the scent. A mixture of petrichor and old books, a fragrance that smells like memory soaked in time. You step forward, not rushed, not reluctant. The shadow man walks with you, a silent presence beside your right shoulder. The door behind you doesn't close. It doesn't need to. You know it will still be there. If you need to turn around, but you don't. Not yet. You move into the hallway. The floor is soft beneath your feet, not carpeted, but something more alive. It gives a little with each step, like walking on packed moss. You look to the first door on your left. The name etched there makes your breath catch your own. But not just your name, your voice. You don't read it. You hear it, spoken the way only you can say it, shaped by memory and weather and the exact cadence of your younger self. You reach for the handle. The shadow man tilts his head, not in warning, in invitation. You open it slowly. Inside is a room you almost forgot, the green-tiled floor of your grandmother's kitchen, the clock that never worked, the sound of spoons in the drawer. You step in, and the room doesn't change, remembers. You as a child, sitting on the floor, with wet socks, tracing raindrops on the glass with your finger. You didn't know it then, but the storm had brought you this same feeling, sense of presence, of being observed, and now you know he was there too. Outside the glass, watching gently. You don't linger too long. You press your fingers to the table. It hums beneath your touch. Then you close the door and move on. The next door has no name, only a symbol, a spiral within a spiral. You pause, turn. The knob dot inside is a memory you never expected to see. Your reflection, distorted in a cracked mirror in a public restroom. You're older, not now, not young. That in-between time when you weren't sure who you were becoming. You had stared at yourself, rain dripping from your coat, and whispered something under your breath. Words no one heard, except the man in the corner. You look behind the reflection. Now he is not there, because he is beside you now. Always beside you. You continue down the hall, each door a layer, each door a layer, each room a folding. They do not frighten you. They are not haunted. They are inhabited by echoes, and every echo teaches you something you'd forgotten to listen for. You understand now. This place was never outside. It was built by the weight of what you held in the words you didn't say, the tears you paused before they fell, the questions you whispered to a ceiling fan in the dark. The hallway is your cathedral of almosts. You arrive at the end. There is one final door. It is smaller, simpler, plain wood. No symbol, no knob, just a single sentence, carved low at kneeling height. To pass, speak what you never said. You look at the shadow man. He nods once. You kneel. The floor is cool. The mist creeps in, again gentle. As always, you close your eyes, and then, in the softest voice, you say what you've never said out loud. Maybe it's an apology, maybe a goodbye, maybe something you needed to say to yourself. Whatever it is, it leaves your lips like breath and is swallowed not by silence, but by understanding. The door opens. No light, no sound, just space, and a breeze gentle and ancient carrying. The scent of wet cedar and candle smoke. You rise. The shadow man places his hand gently on your shoulder. This is not the end, but it is the moment of choice to continue, to remember fully, to become whole. You step forward, not alone. The hallway fades behind. You not erased, just no longer needed. You are ready. You step through the final door, not into another hallway, not into a memory, but into a clearing. Open, vast, endless, and yet it feels small enough to hold in your hands. The rain has quieted into a mist that hovers just above the ground. curling around your ankles like affectionate smoke. You look up. The sky is neither night nor day. A gentle twilight stretches in every direction, the kind that can't be measured by time, but only by feeling. This is not a place of answers, it's a place of stillness, and yet the air carries meaning. You take a few steps forward, your feet make no sound. Everything here is soft, yielding, attuned ahead of you. In the center of the space is a small wooden bench beneath an archway of twisted branches and flowering vines. Despite the mist, the blossoms breathe color into the hushed dot. The lantern bearer is there, the one from the flooded lane. Only now you remember their face. They are not a stranger. They were never a stranger. They were the part of you that always believed there was a door. The hand that lit the lantern was always yours. You sit on the bench, and for a moment, nothing happens, and that's exactly what needs to happen. The shadow man sits beside you, still silent, but no longer mysterious. Now he is known, a reflection of your silence, not your fear. He rests one hand on his knee, relaxed, his coat still, damp from the storm that no longer reaches you. You glance over, and for the first time, you see your own face in his features. Not a twin, but a truth. He was not following you, he was growing with you, and now, in this final quiet, you let yourself rest beside him, not as enemies, not even as old friends, but as two halves of one long held breath. Dot in the sky above, a soft light begins to spread like the first blush of morning seen through closed eyelids. No sun, no moon, just a slow unfurling of warmth, as if the world is exhaling after holding its breath for years. You lean back, the bench creaks like a lullaby, and in that moment, the rain returns not on your skin, but in your mind. You remember the house that only appeared in storms, the footsteps in the attic rain, the whisper at the window pane, the clock that ticked backwards. You remember them all, not as terrors but as teachers. Each strange thing you followed through the storm had only one purpose: to lead you here, to this soft threshold between fear and peace. A shape begins to rise at the far edge of the clearing. Not a structure, not a person, just a shimmer like heat above pavement, but cooler. You stand slowly, the shadow man remains seated. You know this step is yours to take alone. You turn toward him, and he lifts his hand in parting. A single nod, that's all. No sadness, only release. You walk toward the shimmer. The ground becomes softer, each step lighter, each breath fuller. The shimmer grows until it surrounds you. You pause at its center. You do not speak. You simply listen to the quiet, to the rain, to the rain, to the absence of need and the presence of completion. From somewhere, the sound of a door creaking echoes, not from behind, not ahead, but from within. You understand what it means. You are the door you always were, and now it's open. You feel the mist lifting, the breath slowing, your eyes beginning to grow heavy. But there is no urgency, no end, only a long, soft lull, the kind that leads into dreams as you drift. The clearing fades, not erased, only set down, like a book closed with care. The lantern dims, the shadow man vanishes into calm, and your footsteps dissolve into the fog. The storm has passed, but its echoes remain, carried softly, like lullabies, into the next chapter of night. And somewhere, just out of view, a new door waits, still unopened, still listening, still dreaming with you. The man who waits in the fog. The rain has changed. You hear it before You feel it's lower, more deliberate. It's no longer falling in sheets or tapping impatiently at your window. It's drifting. Each drop seems to float, suspended in time, before finally brushing the earth like a whispered apology. You stand at the threshold of the forest again, though you don't remember walking there. The air smells of moss and wet bark, the kind of scent that feels older than you, older than the trees, older than whatever hides behind them. The fog creeps low and thick, curling round the tree, trunks like tired ghosts seeking warmth. The night does not hum with insects. There is no breeze, no birdsong, only the soft hush of rain and the weight of quiet. Anticipation. Something is waiting, but not in a way that urges you to run. It's the kind of waiting that sits in a chair by the fire, hands folded neatly, a cup of untouched tea growing cold, patient, polite, unmoving. A presence so still, it makes your heartbeat sound too loud. The trees stretch tall and narrow, their branches like outstretched fingers in prayer. You feel them watching, though they have no eyes. The ground beneath your feet is muddy, but it welcomes your like. It remembers the shape of your step from some other lifetime. You don't know why you've come here tonight, only that it felt right. Not safe, but right. You take your first step. Into the mist, it parts like curtains, not eager to reveal what lies ahead, but unable to resist your movement. The air grows cooler the deeper you go. Dampness settles into your clothes, your hair, your skin. It becomes a second layer, something almost living. A gentle shroud the deeper you walk. The less you hear your own footsteps. It's as if the earth is muffling your sound on purpose, as if you're being wrapped into silence for your own protection or someone else's. The path is not marked, but you know where it leads, not because you've seen it, because you've felt it in dreams. In déjà vu, in that moment just before waking when the world is both yours and not yours, a shape forms ahead, not fully seen, only hinted broad shoulders, still frame, a tall dark coat that melts into the grey around it. You stop, the figure doesn't move. You blink, and the fog thickens when it clears. He's closer, only slightly, but enough to know he isn't standing still. He's approaching, one slow, soft step at a time. There's no fear in your chest, only a stirring, a knowing. You've passed through other places' houses that whisper, mirrors that lie, doors that breathe, but this forest, this fog, this moment feels like something else, not a test, not a meeting. You close your eyes and let the mist wrap around you like a woolen coat left out in the rain. You listen not with your ears, but with that part of you that always knows when someone is standing just behind you. Not speaking, he is close now. You can sense it, but not in sound, in stillness. The kind of stillness that shifts the air, that makes trees lean a little differently. That makes your breath come shorter, not from panic, but from reverence. You open your eyes slowly. He is there, underneath, a crooked tree that bends at the neck like it's bowing to him. He wears no hat. Yet the rain does not touch his hair. His coat is damp, but not dripping, and his eyes, though not fully visible, gleam with a soft, endless patience. He doesn't speak, he never will, but his silence is louder than a voice. You do not wave, you do not call out. You simply nod, and in that nod, something inside you releases a tension you didn't know you carried. He nods back, only once, then he turns, slowly, and begins to walk deeper into the fog. You follow, not because you must, because you were always meant to. The forest grows denser, but the path clears in his wake. Moss gives way to earth. Branches shift aside before your face. The fog parts only long enough for you to glimpse him, then swallows. Him again, but you never lose him, because he walks like memory, elusive but faithful. You realize the forest is not quite a forest. There are structures between the tree's stone walls, door frames with no doors, staircases that go nowhere, remnants of something forgotten, ruins of places that may have never existed, except in dreams. You wonder if he built them, or if he guards them, or if he's waiting for someone to remember. The rain sharpens. Again, just slightly, each drop colder now, falling in a rhythm that echoes like a ticking clock, the kind that counts down instead of forward. He stops. You do too. You are at a small clearing now. The fog coils inward, hugging the circle like a secret. He steps aside. In the middle of the clearing is a mirror, tall and thin and framed with tarnished silver. Rain slides down its surface, but the reflection is clear. You see yourself, but not entirely. Something about the reflection is ahead of you, older, wiser, weathered in ways you have not yet earned, and behind your reflection, the man stands, smiling, just faintly. You turn. He is no longer behind you, only in the glass. You face the mirror. Your reflection raises its hand. You do the same, but it doesn't feel like mimicry. It feels like reunion. The fog presses in closer, now thicker, softer. The mirror fades. The man's smile lingers, then that too dissolves. You are alone in the clearing, but not empty. Something has settled into your chest, a warmth, a stillness, like a key finally finding the right lock. The rain eases again. You breathe, and the forest breathes with you. The storm is not gone, but it has grown gentle, and something waits still in the mist. Not the man, but what he meant, what he awakened. And as you step away from the clearing, back onto the path shaped only for your feet, the fog hums softly around your ears. A tune you almost remember, a lullaby with no words, a promise that the man in the fog may vanish, but never truly leaves. There's something strange about the bark on the trees. At first, you thought it was your eyes adjusting to the damp grayness of the path, but as you pass each trunk, something feels different. The trees are not simply growing, they seem to have shifted when you weren't watching. Their bark is not carved, yet symbols emerge when rain strikes them. Not runes, not letters, something older. Something your eyes do not understand, but your skin somehow does. You pause near one of the trees, letting your fingers trail across the damp surface. For a moment, your fingertips go cold, not from the rain, but from something underneath the bark, a pulse, a breath. The sensation is gone as quickly as it came, but it leaves an echo in your fingertips, like the taste of metal on your tongue. You keep walking, and now the silence feels different too. It's not truly silent. There's a sound faint, layered under the hush of the rain, a whispering. You stop. The whisper stops. You take a step. It begins again. You listen harder. It doesn't seem to be in any language. It's more of a hush, shaped like speech, like breath, learning how to become words, but never quite arriving. Still, it makes the hairs on your arms rise, as though some part of you knows exactly what's being said. You reach a clearing where the fog lifts just enough to show the shape of a cottage, or what used to be a cottage. Its roof sags, its windows are blind, and yet there's no decay. It's not abandoned, it's paused. held in place, waiting. You don't approach it. You don't need to, because you know the moment you try to touch the door, the structure will vanish into mist. This place is here to be seen, not entered, remembered, not disturbed. And yet, as you turn to leave, you glance into one of its windows. Your own eyes look back at you, but you're not standing there, not yet, farther ahead. The path curves around a knotted hillock where the ground seems to breathe beneath your feet. The soil is soft, too soft. Each step feels like you're pressing into a memory. You kneel and place your hand to the earth. It's warm and humming, the kind of hum that vibrates softly through your bones, attuned with no sound, but an overwhelming presence. Something ancient is beneath you. Not buried, not dead, just resting. You don't dig, you wouldn't dare. Instead, you walk on and begin to notice the plants along the edge of the path. They are not the plants you remember from the waking world. Their leaves are damp but dry to the touch. Their petals never flutter in the wind, and their colors shift. When you blink, deep green, then bruised purple, then a shade that makes no name rise to your tongue. They don't move, but they're aware of you, and as you walk, you sense them leaning slightly inward, welcoming you, studying you, not hostile, just very, very present. You reach a stretch of forest where the trees grow closer together. Their branches interlock above like a cathedral ceiling, filtering the light into long, watery ribbons. Beneath this canopy, the mist becomes thinner, but the atmosphere grows heavier. This is where the man lingers. You can't see him, not directly, but every time you glance toward the space between the trunks, there's the flicker of his coat, the edge of a shadow, the afterimage of someone recently watching. You slow your steps. You begin to see other things. Little arrangements that make your heart skip. A circle of river stones in the shape of a keyhole. A child's toy carved from bone and stained with rain left on a mossy stump. An umbrella, open and undamaged, perched perfectly atop a branch 20 feet above. You pass a tree where dozens of leaves have been pinned to the bark with silver nails. Each leaf has writing on it. Your name, each one is dated differently. Some dates have passed, some are today, one is tomorrow. You don't take a leaf, but you don't forget. Further still, you reach an old wooden signpost. It has no words, but your body knows what it says. Left a memory you've tried to forget, right? A truth you aren't ready for. Straight, the man who waits. You go straight. The rain deepens, not louder, just more present. Each drop carries weight, like it's soaked in thought. The trees begin to thin, and the path opens into a wide field surrounded by nothing but fog. At the center is a tall iron gate, standing with no wall or fence. Just a gate, closed. You feel the air change. Your breath fogs differently. It curls forward and drifts up, drawn toward something ahead. The man. No tot, something else. Something watching the man. You put your hand on the gate. It's cold, it's real, but it opens without resistance. On the other side, there's no path, just soft grass and distant shapes moving behind the curtain of mist. You don't. Walked out, the ground pulls you gently forward, as if inviting you to float. And then you see him again, the man, but not directly. His shape is always a bit off, as if he's stitched from shadow and echo. He's standing still now, beside a small pond that reflects no sky, only faces. Your face, his face, and other faces, some familiar, some impossible, some still forming. You step beside him, You don't look at him directly, but he's smiling again. You feel it in your chest, like a candle lit without a flame. The pond ripples once, though there's no breeze, and then you see it. A ripple that begins in the water and echoes through the air, like time skipping a stone across your skin. Suddenly, the memory returns of a dream you had as a child, a fog, a figure, a song without sound. You never remembered the rest until, now, and now it's back. The man was always there, just far enough away to forget, close enough to follow. He has no voice, but he has shown you things, and there is still more to see. You kneel beside the pond. The water is dark, but beneath its surface, something glimmers, not gold, not silver, a shimmer shaped like a decision. The mist coils around your neck like a scarf. You breathe and wait, and the man waits with you. You sit by the pond, long enough to forget how long you've been there. The rain never stops, but it changes, softens, thickens, grows quieter, then loud again, like it's breathing along with you. The man beside you never moves, but you know he's there. Not just there, aware. Every now and then, your eyes flicker sideways, hoping to catch his shape fully. But he vanishes the moment your gaze sharpens and reappears only in the corners of your vision. That's where he lives, in edges, in silences, in pauses between thoughts. Eventually, you rise. Your limbs feel older than you remember. Not tired, not aching, just carrying the weight of too many memories at once. The fog thickens. As you step away from the pond, you can no longer see where you came from. You can no longer see where you're going. You walk anyway, because now something is with you, not following, not leading, just near. Your steps no longer echo. There is no ground, only mist holding you, like a memory holding on to the shape of a dream. Somewhere behind your ears, a tone begins to rise. It's not sharp. It doesn't hurt. It's the sound of something unspoken growing louder, not in volume, but in meaning. A presence unfolding like parchment, soaked in ink. Then it happens. You turn, and he is there. Closer than ever, still not clear, but more than before. You see the outline of a coat that doesn't ripple in the wind. You see a hat that casts no shadow. You see eyes that aren't lit, yet glimmer. The man is still, but everything around him moves. Branches tremble where he stands. The rain bends away from him. The fog curls, like fingers around his ankles. You look down and realize your own shadow is no longer your own. It stretches toward him unnaturally long, impossibly fluid. It moves even when you don't, like it's reaching for something it remembers, something it misses. The path reappears beneath your feet. Cobblestone now, old, wet. Each stone shaped like a choice you almost made. You walk it because that's all you can do. And the man follows, never stepping, just appearing every time you blink. He is a step closer. Every time your heart beats, he takes notice. Soon, you realize the path has looped. You've passed the same bent tree 3 times. The tree with one limb broken, hanging like an arm reluctant to let go. You stop in front of it, defiant. The fog presses closer, and for the first time, you hear his breath. It's not a sound, it's a pressure, a warmth, curling at the base of your spine. You don't speak, but you feel your voice inside you. It wants to ask, who are you? Why are you here? Why do you feel like a piece of me? But the fog answers before he does. It shifts, it parts, and shows you the house. It's not the same as before. Not the pondside cottage. This one is taller, thinner. It sways slightly, like it's listening. Its windows are dark but deep. You can't see inside, but you know the rooms are waiting. The man steps toward it, not walking, just becoming closer. The door opens. You don't remember knocking. You step inside. He does not. He remains at the threshold, smiling without a mouth. The inside of the house is not built like houses should be. Its hallways are too long. Its ceilings too low. Its paintings too familiar. You pass one that shows you as a child sitting on a swing you forgot existed. The next one shows you standing in this very hallway but older, and behind you, just barely out of frame, is the man you touch the canvas. It's warm, it breathes. You walk on the carpet. Beneath your feet is damp, but not wet. It hums slightly when you press your heel down, like a sigh of welcome or warning. Doors line the hallway, each one unmarked, each one humming with a different memory. You open the first. Inside is your grandmother's perfume, clinging to the air like ghosts of hugs long gone. The second, a classroom where you once fell asleep during a storm, and woke up to find the room empty but heard breathing behind you. The third, a train platform that doesn't exist, where you wave at someone you've never met, but somehow miss. You stop opening doors. Some things are better left unvisited. You reach the end of the hall. There is no wall, just a mirror, tall, thin, thought framed in something that looks like wood but feels like water. You look, but the mirror doesn't show you. It shows the man, standing in a fog-thick forest, smiling with his eyes, and in the mirror's reflection, you are the one blurry in the corner, watching him, following him, wishing you understood why. You raise your hand to touch the glass. It's cold, and then you feel a hand on your shoulder. You turn. No, one is there. But your shoulder remembers the shape, large, gentle, inevitable. You leave the mirror, and the house leaves you. You don't step outside. You simply blink, and the world changes again. You're back in the fog, but it's different now. It feels denser, alive. The man is no longer behind you. He is beside you, still in the corner of your eye, but now closer than breath. You don't need to ask anything, because now you begin to understand. He is not following you. You are retracing his steps. You always were. The paths you chose, the choices you didn't. The houses that appear only in rain, the puddles that reflect tomorrow, the clocks that tick in reverse. He was there, not watching, not waiting, just being. And now that you're close, you feel the truth. He is not here to hurt you. He is here to help you remember what you forgot in sleep, what you buried in time, what you whispered once. Long ago, when the rain was heavier and your eyes still young, you reach another clearing. No trees, just fog and stars above. The man steps into your sight for the first time fully. You see his coat, his hat, his face, and it is yours. Older, wiser, not a ghost, not a future, but a version of you that stayed behind, to guide, to remind, to lead others who forget as easily as you once did. And now the choice is yours. Stay or walk further. He does not speak, but his smile deepens, and the fog curls inward like a curtain lowering on the first act of a long, quiet play. You step toward him. The ground feels soft, like breath. The air smells of old pages and fallen rain. And you remember the man in the corner was never a stranger. He was the part of you that always knew the way back. And tonight, in the hush between storm and silence, he has brought you home. The clearing feels quieter now. Not empty, just listening. Above, the stars flicker in and out behind slow-moving clouds. The rain has gentled, like it's giving you room to think. The man, your other self, has stepped away again, retreating to the edge of your sight. He waits as you sit down on a flat stone wrapped in moss, surrounded by the smell of wet bark, and something older like the underside of forgotten pages. You feel safe, but curious. The question is no longer who he is, it's why he is, and why now. You speak softly into the air, not expecting an answer. What am I supposed to remember? The fog responds with movements light, curling like a breath behind the ear. Your surroundings begin to shift. Not the way places move, but the way thoughts rearrange. The clearing deepens into something broader. A hallway returns, but this one isn't part of any house. It feels like a hallway of mind and memory, lined not with doors, but with moments, floating, glowing slightly in the mist. Each memory is contained within a shimmer-like dew court. In candlelight, you step closer to the first. Inside, you, as a child, sitting by a fireplace during a thunderstorm, scribbling something on a piece of paper. Your mouth moves in silence. You see your younger self pause, then turn, suddenly, like he feels watched. You did. You remember that night, and now you know was him. Always just outside the firelight. Not threatening, just present. You step away from the memory. It vanishes like mist through fingers. The second shimmer reveals a different you. Older, walking along a dark road after a night of lost sleep. You had nowhere to go, and yet you kept walking, and just before dawn, you saw a man waiting under a flickering street lamp. You never told anyone about that moment, but it has never left you, until now. You didn't realize how long he'd been part of your path. You begin to ask again, why do you follow me? The fog parts slightly, revealing a bench not wooden, but made of the same silver stone as your dreams. You sit, and this time you hear something, not from the fog, from beneath it. A voice, not words, just emotion. A sound that feels like warmth. Under pressure, it isn't your voice, and it isn't his. It is something in between. A shared breath. A quiet conversation stretched over years of silence. You listen, and you feel the answer. He was never sent. He was never assigned. He simply remained. Every version of you has left something behind. A sliver, a shadow, a softness, and that piece becomes a guide, not to correct, not to warn, but to witness, to accompany you when others cannot, to remind you, in quiet ways, that you are not alone. Even when you forget how to look for yourself, you feel your eyes sting not with tears, but with rain's memory. You ask the next question. Why now? And this time, the fog pulls back to reveal a pond. Still, silver. You approach and look in. Your reflection stares back, but it's flickering between you and him. One moment, your own eyes, the next, the quiet man's. Then both, layered atop each other. The fog answers not with words, but with an image in the pond's depths. You see yourself sleeping in a bed you don't remember, but beside the bed sits a chair, and in it, the man, not moving, just watching over, waiting for you to return. You understand this journey. This entire night is happening between breaths, in the space where waking and sleep pass one another in the hallway. And the reason he came now was because this moment was quiet enough to allow him through. You had slowed down enough, become still enough, and he stepped forward, not to lead you anywhere new, but to help you see what you always carried. The fog shifts again, and you are back in the clearing. The man sits, now beside you. No words pass between you, but the silence is rich, full of everything you've seen, everything you've become. You look at him, and for the first time, you don't look away. You study the lines of his face, and they are familiar to familiar. You realize they're not from mirrors, not from dreams. They are the lines you trace when you worry, the set of your jaw when you protect someone, the way your hands curl when you wait for an answer that might not come. You've been building him your whole life, a quiet guardian made of your own shadows, a reminder that even the forgotten parts of you remain faithful. You whisper one last question: what do I do now? And this time, he turns to you fully. The rain parts between you, and for a moment, the world is perfectly quiet. He raises one hand and simply points, not toward the trees, not toward the house, not toward any path. He points into you, into your own chest, and you understand you don't have to do anything new. You just have to remember that you have always been many versions of yourself. The brave one, the tired one, the one who sings in the rain, the one who forgets how, the one who waits, the one who walks on. And now that you've seen them all, you are whole, even in the fog, even in the dark. The man stands. You stand too, not to leave, but to walk with him. No destination, no map, just the understanding that this fog, this place, this moment is not to be solved. It is to be known, to be visited, to be respected. You and he begin to walk not away, but through, and as you walk, the rain begins to lighten. Each step feels like waking up, softly, but not entirely, because some dreams are too important to leave behind. Some truths need the quiet to breathe, and the man, your shadow, your echo, he walks with you. Not ahead, not behind, but beside. The fog remains. But it is different now. Not threatening, not obscuring. It feels like a presence. You understand, a trusted companion resting its hand gently on your shoulder. You walk alongside the man in silence. The path beneath your feet is soft with red leaves. Each step is muted, gentle, like moving through memory instead of forest. The lanterns have all gone out, but you don't need them anymore. The light is inside you now. You can feel it, glowing faintly where fear used to live. Ahead, the fog lifts slightly to reveal the edge of a field. You remember this place, though you're not sure from where. The trees encircle it in reverent stillness. In the center stands a structure, low, wide, and old. Not a house, not a cabin. It's more like a boundary, a place where the night begins to loosen its grip. The man stops just before the edge. So do you. He doesn't speak. He never has. But you know what he's saying. He will go no farther, and neither will this version of you. You're close to waking. You're close to crossing back. But something in you wants to linger. Not because you're afraid to return, but because you don't want to forget. You turn to him, the man in the fog, the version of yourself that waited all these years. And for the first time, you smile first. It's small, earnest, peaceful, and he returns it. You sit together one last time, not for answers, not for closure, just for acknowledgement, for gratitude, for quiet. You speak not with words, but with your presence. and he receives it. The fog grows thinner. You can feel its threads loosening from your limbs, as if dusk is stepping back to let morning in. He stands. You stand. The field is brightening with something deeper than light. It's memory, it's acceptance, it's peace. He takes one step backward, then another dot. Each footfall leaves no imprint. Soon he's a silhouette again, then a shadow, then nothing but mist and echo. And you know, you'll carry him now, not as fear, not as confusion, but as calm, as understanding. The house at the edge of the field opens a door without hinges. It doesn't creak, it simply welcomes. You step forward. Slowly, the threshold is not a test. It's an embrace as you cross. The world around you begins to dissolve, not in panic, but in permission. The floor becomes cloud. The walls become breath. The ceiling becomes nothing at all. You are weightless, drifting, held. Every moment from the night gathers around you, not crowding, but cushioning. The footsteps in the attic, the rain that fell indoors, the whispering glass, the reflection that spoke before you did, the voice beneath the floorboards, the smile at the end of the lane. And now, the man who waited, they're all here, not haunting you, honoring you. You didn't chase them, you welcomed them, and that makes all the difference. You feel sleep returning, but it is not escape. It is return to body, to breath, to present time, but with something new. A stillness you earned, a truth you touched. You know that fog will come again. So will the rain. So will the flickering porch lights and the hum under floorboards. But next time, you won't fear them. You'll listen. You'll remember. You'll sit beside the version of yourself that waits quietly to be seen. And you'll walk with him again. Not to solve anything, not to conquer the strange, but simply to know it, to honor it. To let it rest. Your eyes begin to close, not in fear, not in surrender, but in peace. And as the last of the fog curls around your feet, you feel the field beneath you fading. The doorway vanishes, the rain slows, and sleep arrives like a gentle tide returning home.